don't fly in a blind? That GPS, they can't be tracked by GPS?
No. Virtually none of them.
It's called dead reckoning.
It used to be the Southern Pacific Hole.
It's called dead reckoning.
The Southern Pacific Hole, that's now been fixed.
Right. That's what I said now.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going back like 10 or 15 years when they fixed it.
You're saying that it's only possible, these things are up there, and it's GPS, and I say that it's just improvement in the early LaRon systems, that they just improved it. They put these
completely different mechanisms. Do you know how LaRon works?
What are you talking about, different mechanisms?
It's a completely different system of GPS. LaRon has virtually nothing to do with GPS. We still use LaRon for marine shipping in places like the North Sea. Did you know that?
I thought I turned it off.
No, we still use it.
Of course she doesn't know that. She read it in Wiki.
You're saying aircraft need GPS and that they don't. We fought wars.
No one says that, Debbie.
Not need, they have.
GPS. It was all ground based.
Yeah.
But the thing
most airplanes used prior to GPS is gyroscopic.
Like inertial reference systems or inertial navigations. So
we rely on the rotation of the Earth to work.
Listen, they're putting up more towers and more towers and more towers.
In the ocean?
So
in the ocean?
Yeah, where are all they in the Atlantic and the Pacific?
You think there aren't any some type of apparatuses out in the ocean? Yes, they are. They do that for weather.
No, because
I've seen the map. I've seen the government map. They do. That's how they make.
If there were, Debbie,
there are, sir. They have weather.
Can you show these maps? Can we see the maps?
You know, on Flight Radar,
I don't have my iPad. I'm using my new phone.
Which is becoming less and less of a thing. How airplanes used to disappear over the Pacific and then reappear. That's because ADS-B is ground-based, right? And they would disappear. Now, if there was towers in the middle of the ocean, then that wouldn't happen. Now, what you're seeing more and more is that companies are using space-based ADS-B, right? So you will see the airplane even in these black spots where ground-based ADS-B can't pick them up because they are paying, for the added benefit, one, of safety, but the other thing too is of engine monitoring, fault detection, and things like that. So, the airplane, rather than just communicating
with... Airlines crashed, and Qantas literally quit back saying, well, we would have known we're all fucking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they narrowed that, like, MH370 down pretty close, and that was off satellite-based engine telemetry, because it was off radar. It was outside of ground-based coverage of ADS-B. But the engine telemetry was still being sent to a satellite, then to Boeing, and then to maintenance.
The saddest thing is if the Earth
GE
was
or Rolls-Royce, whoever it was.
If the Earth was actually flat, we could use radar to track fucking everything.
Yeah, and you wouldn't need
have a
HF
limit.
because VHF is all line of sight, so that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Line of sight wouldn't be a thing because everything would be in line of sight.
Which is, for me, the fact that radars have a horizon and they're not going to be affected by the turbidity of the atmosphere, is a really good example of the fact that there is geometry to the Earth and it ain't flat, because if it was, we'd see a lot further. I can go and fucking buy a marine radar system that will give me 70 miles quite happily. And it'll only see sort of 10 to 13 based on the height of the mast. But, it's got an effective range of 70 miles.
You wouldn't need a satellite phone.
No, you could do point-to-point radio comms.
Yep.
Just
a couple more watts, better higher gain antenna, and you could talk to China.
And the problem I've got, Debbie, is we understand, there is a huge understanding, especially when it comes to things like radio waves and how they propagate. We really understand our shit there, and we use it in some really fucking creative ways.
It's amazing, yeah, amazing.
And
Debbie posted something.
And that's the problem I've got with the argument that you're putting forward.
I got a ton of these videos.
Yeah, well, and especially when you go to...
congratulations on the new phone, by the way. Always exciting.
Especially when you go to data link, over VHF or HF. And that isn't satellite based, and there is a limit. About 200 miles, whatever.
It's like
with
I
how
know
far,
that
but we
UHF.
can transmit
Sorry, go
simple
on.
data over VHF.
Yeah.
But there is a limit to that, and once you get to that limit, you get a HF. At night you can probably get further, and beyond that, then you use satellite.
But you understand that ground-based tower can track somebody. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
How?
It can know your whereabouts.
No,
You
no,
mean
no.
like
no.
I
a
had
ground-based
my boyfriend
radar?
track.
Or...
Let's
I
get
got
that
his
more
boyfriend
They
accurate,
can
account,
track
Debbie.
you if
and
they
One,
know your whereabouts.
found him at a
one
hotel
tower. One
at
tower will
lunch.
not know. One tower will not know where you are.
No,
The only thing that it will know is that you're within the
direction.
cell that it is servicing, because you've now
Actually,
registered
you'll
for that
know
tower.
the distance. You'll know the distance from the base station.
Yeah, they'll have a reason. It's within the cell is where.
So
When
it's
you've
full
got
circle
when
and
you've got
radius.
3 towers, you can start to get positioning. And that's why when you create a cellular network, they all overlap each other. And that's because with 4G, 5G, and 3G, sorry, as well, the cell size increases and decreases based on the number of people that are in the cell.
Okay, so how does a transponder work? Let's say if a camper's somewhere out there, way out there in the mountains somewhere. How does the transponder work?
That's a radio signal. That's generally using a VHF UHF to UHF signal.
But the transponder needs to know where it is.
Right, but it can locate the signal.
Well, no,
right?
you can triangulate to a transponder. That's one of the ways you can do it. So I'm just talking about a dumb, we're producing a signal, bink, 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 bink,
Yeah.
bink. Yeah. So what I can do is I can say,
right?
well, where I am, the attenuation, the signal strength is X. Where was is the signal strength is Y. Now I can start to do some stuff and say, okay, well, if I now move my position over here, I should have a signal strength. Now I do. Now I can start joining those kind of divining poles together to then say it should be here where these lines cross. That's all we're doing.
There you go. Then you don't need a satellite then.
Well, no, we're talking about reasonably local. You're not going to do that over 2,000 miles.
The emergency transponder watches talk to satellites. The one when you're out in the Pacific, and your boat goes down.
Yeah.
And you go and so you hit this transponder in your watch, and the watch has a little aerial you can pull out on it, and it spends as much energy as you can pack into a teeny tiny little space. It transmits out a distress beacon, which says, "This is who I am." It pings for a little while so that the satellite can triangulate you, and then that goes off to somebody to go to the rescue services.
It's more than one satellite that picks it up,
right,
and that's on 406, right? And they'll usually also transmit on 1215 for when people start flying over you. They can then start to hone in on that frequency. But Debbie, talking about a transponder needs to know where it is in some respect, depending on the level of transponder. Because all it just transmits out as to, hey, I'm here, so that other people can see it.
That's a really interesting video you
turn the
posted,
transponder off, or you remove some of its capabilities so it doesn't know where it is, then other aircraft aren't going to be able to see it. You turn only recently is Mode S with ADS-B, right? So that's linking into a ground station. There's been Mode C for a while, and if you've had traffic collision and avoidance, then the two transponders talk to each other and work out where they are in relation to each other. But if you remove some of the parameters that one of those transponders is using to talk to the other airplane, then it goes back to like a Mode A transponder, which is just a blip on a map. Essentially, it doesn't know where it is in space except for basically laterally.
I lied a little bit. The watch is not a transponder; it's just an emergency.
Yeah. It just transmits the signal like an EPIRB or an ELT.
Yeah.
And definitely a lifesaver. Anybody who's traveling out places.
Yes, it's amazing technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when EPIRBs and ELTs were on 246, that was still satellite, but like I think the area was a few miles. But now, like on 406, it's also digital, like it's registered. So straight away, if that EPIRB or ELT goes off, it's registered to a person, so they know exactly who to call. They know your location generally under the registration is to, as a pre-thing that they can start to alert local search and rescue people that, hey, we've got this going off. It's probably in your area. And then once they've got it, it triangulates within hundreds of meters. Because the old 246 used to run for about 96 hours. The new, 296. The old ones, anyway, used to run for 96 hours roughly. The new ones only run for 48.
Moyoc, Rich, Debbie, this is a really, really good book. So for me, I think this is a great example of how we use satellites, the maths, the technology, the information behind the methodology for it. And it's a really good way of getting some understanding. Funny enough, believe it or not, this was sent to me originally by Ali B, which is just strange in itself because he thought it supported the point it was making, and when we went through it, he realised actually it did exactly the opposite.
Okay.
But it's a really, really good book. It's a bit dry on the reading, and some of the maths is beyond me, I'll be honest. But the methodology that they sort of talk about in there is pretty easy to understand in my view. But I thought Moyoc and Rich would get a kick out of it as well. Though I am rather disturbed that I no longer call Moyoc Maycock, but that's just me. Only took me about a year.
Yeah. Flying around, okay. But not one single bona fide in there.
I was just reading up some of the specs on that watch. And what an amazing piece of technology that thing is.
Which one's that?
What is it called?
Because I remember when the Breitlings came out.
It's a Breitling Emergency Watch 2.
Yeah. Because they came out early to mid 2000s. $10,000.
It's the power concerns that get me. The thing can transmit enough to reach a frickin' satellite and run for 24 hours. It's like, holy shit. Now, what it does is it does it by punctuating it. It just sends out blips. But still, wow.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I do have a Breitling, but it's not one of those. My wrists aren't big enough. It would look silly.
I guess what they do is they probably have like a capacitor inside that they just charge, and the blip is sent through the capacitor. So every 50 seconds it recharges the capacitor and then fires it. Be my guess.
Yeah, that would make sense. I can't remember how they were powered, to be honest.
Well, a silver lithium ion or something like that. Silver oxide battery.
Because the Breitling that I've got is just an automatic, So you wear it. I mean, it loses a couple of minutes every day for a $8,000 or $6,000 watch.
Shit.
I don't wear it, obviously, every day. But yeah, it loses time. It looks fancy. But yeah, it was just plain automatic. You just had a weight in there, and all it did was wind up the spring. And then you could pull the thing out and wind it up manually. So it wasn't like kinetic or anything like that. It wasn't a weight that would against a piezo or anything to charge a battery.
Right.
So it's pretty hopeless for what you pay for, like my watch anyway.
Going back to what Moyoc was talking about earlier, just to sort of address one of Debbie's points, is here's the Garmin that Moyoc was talking about. So this
45?
No, this is the InReach Explorer Plus. So this is specifically designed for people who go to places where there is no cellular signal. This is what this is made for, specifically, and it even says it in the specifications, which is why I put the full link in there, so you can actually go and look at the review on what it does.
I think I
And
covered
from my
Garmin,
professional
they put this on
career,
equipment. They put it on equipment.
in my professional career, as a side, as a hobby for a little while, I went out with a spectrum analyzer and a low noise amplifier. And I was looking at GPS signals. And you know what? It never got strong when I got near a tower.
No, the
Never.
actually, what is funny is like
Maybe you went to the wrong tower.
No, the other weekend, right? We were out near Coburg Peninsula, and we decided to go for a drive into a national park that we needed a permit for that we shouldn't have been there. Anyway, we were just driving, and then I stopped.
Let's face it, Rich. You can make up the name of anything that you want that sounds Australian, and we're going to believe you. So you went to a Wallabalongabalang.
Well, no, hang on, and Google Maps didn't work because it showed where you were, but it wouldn't actually. It shows you, but it didn't load the map, right? Because I didn't preload it. But I've got a 4-wheel drive app, and that's where I was. And there's no service, no way.
Oh, geez, the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, so that's on Coburg Peninsula, and hang on, because I do have service now, I'll be able to give you a satellite picture roughly of where that was. And you'll even be able to see where I am at the moment. And then I'll zoom in on the satellite roughly to where I was. Middle of nowhere, that is, and I had a satellite phone on me just in case anything happened. More so, out in the boat because we went offshore.
Oh shit, that's a double whammy.
Maybe there was no towers out there. That the
Debbie, there is no towers out there.
There is no towers out there. So how did I get the GPS on my 4-wheel drive app to still work? Well, the GPS on my phone through the 4-wheel drive app that's got the map to be able to show us where we were. The only reason why Google didn't work is because it doesn't store the maps.
Google doesn't store the map.
When you download a trip, when you make a trip plan or something, it only downloads so much of the map for you. And if you make a requery to go put a new destination in or something, it tries to query, and I think it clears the buffer of what it already downloaded. At least that's how mine works.
I don't know, low elevation maybe?
But Debbie, the GPS still works.
Yeah, the
phone
GPS
didn't work. The phone didn't work, but his standalone GPS still does work.
I don't know.
And I've tested. You say I may not have tested the right tower.
I'd have to see if there's a tower map out there. And maybe it got his last ping.
Okay, that wouldn't help you finding out where you are now. But I drove with this GPS receiver, this scanner, this spectrum analyzer I was using. I drove that all over Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Williamsburg, Richmond, and parts of North Carolina. And the signal strength never got above like a neg 125 dBm, which is a very low number. I never got close to a tower in thousands of miles of driving. Never got closer. There was not a single tower that I was able to get close to in all that driving.
But
The other thing I was
you can't see
thinking,
the towers. You cannot see
the
them.
other thing too, I was thinking, Debbie, just in case you thought I was being dishonest, because that picture from the full drive app that I've got, you can see that my battery's charged and it's charging because it's plugged in my car, but I don't have any signal at all. Whereas the ones I've just taken now, I've got basically 3 bars and Wi-Fi next to the battery symbol. So I'm not lying that I didn't have service.
Here we go, off to drawing a picture again to explain why it's significant that signal strength never got any stronger. Let's see if we can beat this into somebody's head.
There's no way it could be a balloon up there.
No. Not in
Well, no,
work
I'd have
as
service
work.
if there was a balloon, right?
Balloon where?
You know, even the Google balloon thing, you know, that they're using in remote communities.
Google balloon where?
They said these balloons can stay up there 100 days. Something.
Wouldn't help you.
Well, no, a balloon will get
Yes,
buffeted as
still don't
well
have any
by
service.
wind and
No, they throw
yeah,
them in the jet
wind and
stream, sir. They
turbulence.
throw them in the jet stream.
They're not good for navigation because they move.
Yeah, they
that's
can be
right.
blown off course pretty easily.
You need accuracy. You have to know where that balloon, in order to triangulate off a balloon, you need to know where that balloon is exactly. If I'm going to get accuracy on
Or
the
that
ground,
balloon needs to know where
They
it is
do keep
exactly.
track of the balloons. They do keep, and they know they can make them fall to the ground if they wanted to
yes, but you have to know exactly where that
and
balloon
retrieve
is
it.
every
That's why.
second.
That's why I
To
say
the-
that all
to
this
the
could
foot.
be all ballooning stuff.
Actually, you have to know where that
It's
balloon
less
is
costly,
within a
though.
5-meter accuracy, because it's giving you
Listen.
5-meter accuracy at the far side.
Listen, I read about the Arthur C. Clarke and all, and they since when the boom bang you know space movies, novels that came out, you know, it was just fiction. Okay.
So what you're saying, Debbie, though, is that we
And
work
these-
out our
these
position
big companies,
with GPS based off balloons, and
these
then we
big
have some other system that works out where the balloon is to tell us where we are. So how many
These big
systems
companies are
are there
very
working
shady.
out where the balloon is to be able to tell us where we are?
I'm not saying that it's a balloon. I'm not saying
And
it's
what method
possibly
does it use?
could be some type of ballooning thing.
And okay, so what
Good
method does it
symmetric
use? What
communication.
is your GPS or your phone actually talking to, or what frequency, or you know, is it an omnidirectional radio range, or is it a
I don't know, but they know where to
direction
they
beacon,
have,
like finding beacon? I don't know.
have some type of it's a thing on the balloon itself that they have they know where it is. They know
Like a
precisely.
GPS.
They know
Actually, so you
precisely
know where the balloon is.
where to drop it and go out and retrieve it.
Yeah, like a GPS. You know, or worst case, it was, you know, it just put a ping out so that you could home in on it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's homing, not pinpoint accuracy, as Mike said, within 5 meters currently.
Why is this whole thing going to be turned into a black thing? You said it was not homey?
The Debbie, do you know anything about like GBAS or anything like that with airplanes? Because I know you like your Lorraine and stuff.
They have like, I mean, I'm familiar with like VOR, sort of speak.
Like VORs, yep.
VOR,
Richard, did you say Seabass?
Yeah, Seabass, tasty. No, GBAS or was. There you go, was.
talks about
WAAS.
aircraft.
Yeah, or GBAS.
GBAS.
Yeah.
Call that.
I mean,
It's what,
like those like a GLS, right? So that's a GBAS landing system, relatively new. It uses satellite. They had to put a error into it because of its accuracy now. Because it was damaging runways because of its accuracy.
I don't know. I saw like a blueprint of the newer aircraft shows like the GPS is optional. You don't need it.
No, you don't need it.
You don't need
No
it.
one says you do.
There's something on the
I
bottom
learned
of
to
the
fly
plane
without one. None of the airplanes that I learned to fly in had a
that can
GPS.
communicate to towers.
I got my commercial license and instrument rating without a GPS rating. Right? Like, you don't need it. You can dead reckon. You can use ground-based aids to an extent, but they have an increased amount of error. Right? They have an increased amount of error the further away you fly, and depending on positions or the distance between stations, then you end up having to take in a really huge amount of land essentially when you're trying to work out what you might fly into.
Not to mention the radar systems that they had previously.
No, not radar.
I'm saying that works as well. They know exactly where these aircraft are, what altitude, so they don't bam into each other. Boom, boom.
No. Even ground-based radar, like air traffic control, if an airplane doesn't have a transponder on, that radar can't tell the altitude of the airplane. So they can still bang into each other. Hey?
To the ground.
Well, it depends on what you're talking about. I was talking about tolerances on navigating with ground-based aids to dead reckoning where you don't need GPS. But GPS has narrowed all the corridors, even INS or IRS. So like in the jet, if we lose GPS for whatever reason, there's a solar flare, I don't know, and it'll just drop back into its own internal navigation system or its internal reference system. And it's good for about 7 hours and still maintaining a reasonable amount of accuracy that you're not going to fly off, and get lost or hit someone. And that's internal. And that's using laser gyros, which, curvature of the Earth, rotation, things like that. No one ever said you need GPS to fly an airplane. It fucking helps.
And also, there's it was the missile guidance system using GPS.
Yeah.
That I'll never believe.
Why? It's exactly the same as an airplane or a car, or you walking from point A to point B using GPS on your phone.
Sputnik. We've fought wars before Sputnik.
Yeah.
And we used to ride horses, and now we drive cars.
Carpet bombed everyone.
Duh.
We used to drive horses, Debbie, and
now
we drive cars.
There was no GPS at that time.
But Debbie, we used to walk point A to point B as well, right? And just walk around until we found where we were going.
If you notice the details when it says sat.
Yeah.
A beacon sitting on a hill or a cliff, wherever. Sat. That's interesting.
Well, it depends on, what if you speak a different language? And sat means something totally different to sitting on your ass or stopping in place.
That's something stationary.
Only because the only language you know is English, Debbie. Why do you call a car a car? It's not even short for vehicle.
Debbie?
It's not even an acronym.
Debbie, I don't know if this picture can be pounded into your head, but this is kind of a little example. The blue line that squiggles through the center of this is a road. Uh-huh. Now, we all agree that we have to have these towers transmitting and reaching my car, right? In order for me to triangulate my position.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Okay. So that blue line, I'm driving along it, and if you see there's like blue letters that follow the blue line that say 125 to 128, those are my actual measurements that I basically got everywhere. And as I drove through the map, the signal strength never increased, but those circles indicate what the signal strength should be as I approach towers. So I should be varying my signal between 60 and negative 128. And I'm only ever 125 to 128. I'd never get further away from a tower. I'm always the same distance. For those numbers just make sense.
Follow you. I understand a little bit.
So the towers would have to
Yeah, I
follow
was
you.
thinking that. I reckon Debbie totally got that.
These not, I don't know about these.
That's the best way I could describe what I'm doing. And I did that for thousands upon thousands of miles.
What's the gray circles? Is that signals?
Those are just different power rings. Different, you know, the 40 dBm receives signal strength, 60 dBm. That's what I would be receiving from the cell phone towers. And it's a function of distance. It always, you know, whatever I transmit, it's going to get weaker along in the concentric rings like that, essentially.
I don't know. You may have maybe onto something here. I don't know. These towers, they go up to like 100 feet. What's the largest tower?
The largest that we build in this area is usually like 250 feet. We have some mountaintop ones that are like, you know, above the average terrain, you know, 2,000 to 3,000 feet. But, you know, the tower itself is 250 feet above the ground in any case.
I just say they're just constructing.
You can construct as many towers as you want, but that only makes the problem worse.
Oh.
Because that means I'll have more places where I'll get close to a tower and the signal strength will increase. It doesn't happen.
Maybe there's an interference by another frequency or something.
That would not make my signal strength weaker.
Well, maybe it's your dumb phone, maybe. I don't know.
It's not a dumb phone. It's just a scanner that scans frequencies. A specific frequency, I go and look at GPS, the one that's tuned to in the GPS satellite, the one when I make a manual satellite and I build it out of a receiver and I tune it, has nothing to do with GPS. I build this thing from scratch. I have not done this, but somebody has who we've talked to. Build it from scratch. It has to look at, I think it's 1575 megahertz. I don't remember for sure. 1525 or 1575 megahertz, 1.5 gig. And you drive around in that frequency range, it's dark. There's only signal strengths in the, generically speaking, about neg 125 to 128. It doesn't vary much beyond that. I never, ever, ever, ever get closer to a tower. And even if it was a balloon, I would still get closer to a balloon. Only 200,000 feet up, I'd be driving directly under a balloon and be only 200,000 feet away from it. And then an hour later, I would be coming out to the edge of that balloon, and I would be, oh God, you know, 1,000,000 feet away from it. Signal strength would have dropped, and it would have been stronger in the middle.
Talking about transponders, ground-based stuff, and all that sort of thing. You know, we had to install equipment called Spider Tracks for a client, right? And it uses the Iridium satellite, you know, because, well, this is pre-space-based ADS-B. It might have even been pre-ADS-B, to be honest, in these aeroplanes anyway. And, you know, because they wanted to see the airplane fly across the Timor Sea, essentially. And they could do that with Iridium, you know, with Spider Tracks. And it's not that far. it's less than 400 nautical miles, but you got shit all. And the GPS in the airplane isn't connected to the transponder at the time for ADS-B, and ADS-B at the time is also ground-based. Pay for space-based ADS-B. So Spider Tracks was the way to get around it, which uses the Iridium satellite system, and it worked pretty well, except when pilots forgot to turn the actual unit off and they powered down the airplane, and then the unit thought it crashed. Like the airplane actually crashed because it lost power. I mean, there's so many examples of how space-based things and navigation, TV works. Like, I don't know why it's so hard. Like, because most people have heard of the term iridium flares. Maybe you heard of that term, Debbie? Turned off. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the launch. It's
No,
ridiculous.
iridium flares. Have you heard the term iridium flare?
Flares. Oh.
No, not like a rescue flare. Iridium flare is a specific thing. You probably haven't seen it because you have to be at a particular latitude, and it's where the satellites you'd actually see the satellites in broad daylight because they what's the word? Traverse over the poles and things like that. So, you catch a glimpse of them and they look like a flare. Like someone's actually shot a flare up over the horizon, but it's actually the satellite. During daylight, you'd see them.
That's what you believe.
So that's the satellite constellation that this system would use.
And you've seen it, identified it, and proved that that's what it is.
Well, it's the thing. I haven't personally seen iridium flares because I don't live close enough. I don't live at high or low enough.
People see lights dart across the sky all the time. I don't necessarily mean it's a satellite or kind of space.
Well, no, I'm not saying that it is. That's why I'm talking specifically about iridium flares. Google it. You have the technology that they gave to you. Google it.
And they also have something bouncing off the ionosphere. And when they launch these bombs and stuff like that, or somehow improve communication, take that in consideration.
No.
Whatever.
Oh yeah, like HF bouncing off. Yeah. It improves communication because of the skip distance, but it makes ground-based navigation aids on a similar frequency less accurate. Like because you'll pick up a frequency twice as, or you'll pick up a bearing to a non-directional beacon.
As far
right?
As
yeah,
satellite,
over the horizon, right? Over the horizon. But you can't use it.
As far as the satellites sitting on houses, I mean, they're pointing in all different directions. Are you telling me that everybody has their own satellite? That don't make any sense. They're pointing in all different directions. I've seen houses.
No, I don't know. Show me a picture where everyone's satellite
up
TV
there pointing in different directions.
are all pointing different directions.
Different systems. Those are different
systems. Well, that'd be the other thing.
Is it
quite
possible
pointing at different satellites
that they're pointing it into one of those waves, and it's giving the data, the information down to
But
the
all
receiver.
DirecTV dishes point exactly how they should. Like in a town, every DirecTV satellite is going to be pointing imperceivably different towards the same spot. And 10 miles away, it'll be less than a degree of change. If you go 60 miles or 100 miles away, you're going to see 1 degree of change in all the satellites that point at DirecTV. Every one of them.
Maybe it could be programmed that way to to shut off or whatever.
You can't program the location.
It may be programmed that way.
You can't program the location. Radio is dumb. Radio just follows in a essentially straight path. It goes where it goes.
This is a different frequency, is it not?
It's like you're kind of indicating.
It's very similar to light, funnily enough.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to, imagine that I'm standing on a mountaintop with a light, and everybody has to look at that light. Now, everybody would be pointing at that light. What you're saying is that somehow I can program different people to look at that light 45 degrees off from that position. Somehow I can program where I look for that light. Because that's
They have some
what you're
type
talking
of
about.
coordinates. They have some type of coordinate system on that damn thing.
On the light?
Saying that once you move that satellite just a few degrees or whatever,
The
then you
satellite's
lost the
dead.
signal. I say
Everybody-
that it's programmed.
So you're
that
saying
way.
that you have a radio transmitter on top of a tower or whatever, I don't care, and somehow it bends the light to my dish, so that when I'm looking off to the east and up, to the south and up into the sky towards the equator, I'm going to aim it at that location, and somehow somebody else 10 miles away is going to be aiming up in a new position somewhere else with regard to land-based towers, and still get a signal. I don't follow how you think this works.
How are you comparing a radio signal to a satellite signal?
The radio, well, you're comparing it. You're saying that it could be land-based. It can't be, because you're saying they could program it somehow to work. No, radio signals come from a source. I have to aim at that source. So if it's a tower on the ground, I have to aim somewhere between 0 and probably 1 degree up.
Into some type of wave out there that's transmitting, that's the
Some
receiver is
kind of
picking
wave.
up to pick up the signal.
Well, when I make
A
a manual receiver, for this, I am
There's a
only
lot of
looking
waves
for
out there,
frequency. I
correct?
don't. When I make a manual receiver, I don't make a manual receiver for some kind of wave. I make it to look for a specific frequency.
Right. I'm saying when the people say that once the satellite dish is moved a degree, 2 degrees, whatever off, that you don't get that data anymore.
But I get that
So
frequency.
I get
a very
program to do
specific
that.
frequency off the air. I get a 15 gigahertz signal. I don't know what it is for satellite anymore, but I get a 15 gigahertz signal coming from the sky, and it comes strongest when I aim at this one location. If I turn it half a degree off one direction, half a degree off the other direction, I get bupkis. But only when I aim at that one position in the sky do I get it. And everybody has this same problem when they're aligning satellite dishes.
Okay,
They
so
all have to aim
maybe
at
that
this one point in the sky, and it's the
so
same
maybe
point.
it's bouncing off the
Yeah.
ionosphere and receiving information back and forth.
Like, say World War II era, right? Airplanes. They had a direction finder, and the navigator used to crank a handle, right? And it would move a loop on the top of the airplane. And they would crank it until they found what's called the auroral null. Because it's easier to find the null instead of finding where the strength was strongest, right? And they still use the same technology now, even though they're starting to phase these types of ground-based transmitters out. But they'd find the auroral null, because you don't hear anything, and then you know that the direction you want to go is actually 90 degrees from where that loop was pointing. And that's kind of what Mike's saying, is that, it's directional. So you need to be able to find out what direction it's coming from. The only closest thing to what you're trying to say, Debbie, is probably, like in my field, would be like a microwave landing system where you can do offset approaches. And I mean, MLS it was going to be the be all and end all, in the 90s because of what it could do. It's far superior to some of the instrumentation that we're still using now. But you can do an offset type approach using the same beam. So look into microwave landing system, Debbie, and learn that, and then have your argument, because that's going to be
How far?
that's going to be
how far
the
does a micro-
closest. That's going to be the closest thing that you
Well,
can
the
say
microwave
about.
travels in waves, correct?
Well, they all do, yeah.
Okay, so what's the longest distance that it goes?
Well, it depends on the wave. Depends on the frequency.
Well, what you know of?
Well, we've already spoken, like, VHF is very much line of sight. HF will follow the curvature a bit, but in voice communications, you've got the benefit at night that it will bounce off the ionosphere.
I'm not talking about VHF. I'm talking about microwave.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head because it's not a thing that we actually use. But it's going to be the closest thing, especially when you come to airplanes, it's going to be the closest thing where you can say that they can, say, offset, say,
50
something.
miles? You say 50 miles?
No. Well, how far you can sit, I've already said I don't know.
You
But
saying
one
50
thing
miles is impossible?
with a microwave landing system, you can have the same transmitter and have
saying 50
two
miles is
airplanes land
impossible?
on parallel runways, for example.
Are you saying 50 miles is impossible?
Are the
No.
microwaves not? Are the microwaves susceptible to refraction?
Everything's susceptible to refraction.
So it's not definitive at all. Then these
To a
microwaves.
much lesser degree.
Yeah,
What-
lesser degree. But what all I'm trying to say is, like Debbie was trying to say, that these waves, they might be offsetting them somehow, so you can point them all at the same direction, even though the signal's not coming from that direction. The closest thing that I know of would be microwaves. Well, and
What about
with
ham
what I-
radio?
in aviation would be a microwave landing system.
Well, there was
where
a world's
they
record
can put an
set.
offset.
There was a world's record set. They did at 50 miles in microwave.
Hey, Richie, here's an
I
interesting
don't
thing.
know.
If all of the signal, if all of the satellite dishes are pointing in a generally same direction, like they seem to be converging on a particular point high up in the sky.
Right.
And if the flat earthers are trying to say that, well, there's refraction and there's these other factors that can allow a low hanging fruit, if you will, to somehow allow the light to bend here and there, then by definition, the satellite dishes should be able to point to multiple directions. There should be multiple directions that the satellite dishes can point to and get a valid signal. And
Well, that's what Debbie was trying to say.
Right, but they
And
can't.
that's what Mike was saying, that they can't.
Right, they cannot. So Debbie, you can't have what you're saying be true. Otherwise, people could point the satellite dishes in multiple directions and get a good signal.
But Debbie actually said that they do.
They have, yeah. There's some funny YouTube videos where
But,
actually
well,
people are
I'll show us a
stealing
picture.
cable.
They're
They're
show us
stealing.
a picture. I've never seen it.
And
Like-
even
like
if that
just
were the
tweaking
case
the
in some
dish a little bit.
rare, even if that were the case in some rare instance, it's not a consistent thing. So there should be a consistency to it. In other words, if Debbie were to show an example, right, then what should happen is that should happen all the time for those people and for many others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Australia, for example, like Ozstar was satellite based, and it was pretty big. Obviously, with streaming and things like that. Like, I don't know anyone with Ozstar or Foxtel. Well, I think Foxtel is mainly streaming anyway through Telstra, but every house had the satellite dish, right? And they were all pointing in the same direction. So I don't know what Debbie's trying to say, that satellite dishes, unless they are different, unless she's looking at a house with, say, satellite TV and then looking at a hotel or a pub with Fox or something like that, like sports or Sky or something like that. Yes, they will point in different directions because they're two different satellites.
This gentleman
Yeah.
on YouTube, all he did was he took an old satellite, he tweaked it a little bit, got some type of little thing for it, and he aimed it at some or something, and was actually stealing high definition cable channels. He showed it, he displayed it.
Well, yeah,
That's different,
He
though.
didn't point it. He didn't point it at the satellite. He pointed it into the whatever transmission wave or whatever the fuck it is.
Well, hang on. Does he know what channel he was picking up?
He was
Because
picking up many
there are
channels and
people
high
around here that
definition
have got
channels as
satellite
well.
dishes, like big ones, right?
He's showing how you can
From
steal
the
cable.
80s, because they're either Greek or Indian, and they want to watch their Greek or Indian TV. So they got these giant satellite dishes, 3 meters in diameter. and they point in random directions. They're all
He did
decrepit
not
now, but
point
they're
it at a
still in their front
satellite. He
yard,
did not
right?
point it at a satellite.
Yeah, but
He did not.
Well,
Debbie,
what
that's
they-
not the
what do you
point. The
point it
point
at?
is there are satellite. I'm sorry, there's satellites that have specific channels that they're transmitting, and those channels can only be picked up if you point your dish in that direction.
Always that direction.
Right,
I'm
and then
just saying,
everyone.
imagine here that possibly, just possibly, that it may be that the receiver is picking the signal in some type of transmission wave, and then like if you move it over a few degrees, like the Globies say, you don't get the signal anymore. Maybe it's programmed or designed to do that. To make sure that
Programming
you're not-
cannot.
Debbie, straight away when you said possibly, maybe.
You're only picking up that transmission for that particular.
Programming
When-
can't
straight
cause
away when you
signal.
said
Cable
possibly,
provider.
maybe, you're done.
Your programming can't
keep
cause
that-
signal degradation like that, Debbie. That's an analog type of degradation. It's not a digital
so what
type
do you
of
tr-
a
what do you-
process.
So what are you trying to say? That there's satellites flying around up there in space junk and whatnot? But yeah, we don't have a single picture of anything.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you don't have to say that.
Only NSA
Deb,
has these pictures.
Deb, you
we-
don't
and
have
we
to. You don't
can't-
have to declare something to be false because you lack a picture.
Sir, we're talking about trillions of dollars being poured into this.
And you're able
Which
to
I
watch
believe
this
is a-
program. You're watching the program from
We
those
also
trillions of
had
dollars.
rabbit ears. We also had rabbit ears and things like that. You move the rabbit ears,
For
and
TV,
Doesn't matter.
That came off of
you get
towers.
interference.
Doesn't matter.
That came off of towers, Debbie.
You got your
Rabbit
millions of
ears, that
dollars
was
of
the-
investment, and you're able to watch 1,000 different channels, and you got your money's worth.
Yeah, that was that.
We're
Rabbit
getting
ears were
screwed.
also. Remember, you had to move your rabbit ears and stuff in order to get certain channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was all based on towers back then. Then they came up with DirecTV
But-
satellite. It doesn't work.
But
the
also,
same.
it would also depend on the time of day. You know, you'd be able to watch your morning cartoons, and then when Days of Our Lives came on, you'd have to move the rabbit ears a little bit.
And you know where that antenna was
Why is
pointed?
that?
It was
I
pointed
mean,
towards the tower.
is that refraction or something? Or
You would point
Yeah,
it towards
honestly,
the tower
man.
that you wanted.
So Debbie, you do get that you don't have to see something in order to verify that it is real, and money used to create an infrastructure is realized by the benefit that you're getting from that.
I see that we got think tanks out there. They devised a plan to put this on because their heads in the sand. That they have some other application they can was able to do these things.
But the
and
shape of-
extract
But the shape of the Earth is
billions
not a
of
part of that.
dollars from the masses on this. what I
But
call
the
is
shape of the
one
Earth is
biggest
not a part of
scams
that conspiracy.
Besides space exploration.
Debbie,
the
can you
videos,
see electricity?
The videos that they put out, I'm just saying they don't look legit. They don't look realistic. Like I showed the SMAP satellite.
They look
that's
realistic to me.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Debbie, can you
Because
see
if
electricity?
they told you spaghetti monsters exist, you would believe them. You
No,
would
I wouldn't.
believe
Debbie,
them without
Debbie.
even seeing one.
Talking about
I would
the
say
That's
that there's
how
as
far-
much
that's how-
evidence for a spaghetti monster as there is for any other
That's-
deity.
You have faith. You have faith in this entity, which I don't. I call them
Debbie.
liars straight out.
Debbie, can you?
When I speak to them over the phone, I very much respect them, as they do work.
But Debbie, the shape of the Earth is not a part of that. And you have just been
Shape of the Earth,
proven,
what?
you have just been disproving what you had tried to postulate. So you got to move on.
Debbie, can you see electricity?
Yeah, there's no imagery.
No,
Why does
electricity.
only
Can you
NSA? This is confidential that we can't see an image of a satellite in orbit.
Debbie,
They're-
can
they're-
you see electricity?
They exist, but we don't have access to it. That's stupid.
Can
Don't
you
tell me
can
it's
you
a matter
see
of
electricity?
security or whatever.
Hey, Deb, why is it that you keep rambling on when people are asking you questions?
You can see electricity when
Well,
lightning
forgive me,
strikes.
sir.
No.
Well, yeah, like if the
No, you see the
conditions are right.
plasma discharge. You
Yeah,
see the
that's
air
right.
ionized.
Yeah, you're saying, oh, okay, you guys got it.
Yeah. The other question too would be, can you see magnetism?
Boy.
You know,
Can you
like
see
can't-
Jesus?
Yeah.
We can
Well,
see
hang on,
magnetism.
no, but the difference is
There's people that claim
that
they have.
you can't see either of those things normally, right? But there is evidence that they do exist.
He didn't
So
have the
people
long
have
hair
claimed that
they
they see Jesus,
pictured
and
him.
you believe those claims. Why don't you call those people
Because
liars?
yes, because I do believe that they had these visions and had
Why do you
visitations and
believe
whatnot
they
by
had those
angels,
visions,
demons,
and that
and
people
those
don't
types of
know that
things in
there's
the
satellites up
supernatural
in the
world, because the
sky?
supernatural world does exist,
But why
whether
do
you
you
believe it or
believe
not.
that? But why do you believe that?
Because I've had my own visitations, sir. I've seen
So
things that you
what?
probably never.
And a
you
lot of
probably
people
shit
have
your
had
pants.
experiences building satellites and launching them up in the
And when
sky
Jesus
and
is
going
actually
and
depicted with
interacting with
short
them
hair, I'm
and
going to believe
fixing
that he
them
looks like a
and
Jew.
deploying.
He does not look like a gay
Okay.
man.
I think
But
it does.
that has nothing to do
It
with
is a
what we're
shame
talking
for a
about.
man to have long
When
hair.
I
It states
when
that
I
in the Bible.
when I saw
So he did
Jesus,
not
he had
have
long
long
hair.
hair.
So when I
Did
saw
not have
Jesus, he had long
hair.
hair. But when I saw him, he
It's
had
a
long hair. So who's
misconception.
to
It's a
be correct? Who's
misconception.
correct?
It's a misconception. If it says it's a shame for a man to have long hair, then that's what it states. That's what I believe. It is a shame. It made him look like he's a gay fella, and he's not.
Do all gay people have long
They
hair?
didn't have. You think they didn't have scissors back then, or some type of cutting instruments?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
they
Do
did.
do
They
all
always
gay
had
people
it.
have long hair?
You
No, they
chat
actually
with me on
didn't have
You see the
scissors.
Romans
Wow.
have like the nice haircuts and short haircuts and stuff like that. So you telling me he wore long hair like that?
Yes.
That was another gentleman that they took that picture and then made him look like that. It was another fella.
The whole
You know,
Samson's whole
from
face,
those
his
days.
power comes from his hair.
No, it wasn't from those
Hair,
days. It was
power.
from much later. It was one of
Anyways,
the
back to the
Medici's.
subject.
Yeah, what Scott said. Samson, his power and his strength came from his hair. Motherfucker had to be pretty big too if he was pushing apart some temples.
Wasn't he holding up the temple?
I don't know. But he pushed him apart,
This
so
is-
Hey,
the
Hey,
two
here-
pillars
you-
would have to be
I get
Hey,
pretty
here's a
far
passage
apart,
from
I would
Numbers.
imagine.
Hey,
Yeah,
Deb-
I get
yeah.
your
So
point.
like,
I
I,
get
So
your
I
do
wonder,
all-
like,
hang
if
on,
she
Debbie.
like the
Debbie.
dude
I
probably
got
had
one
like
more thing
a
to say. I
at
got one
Debbie,
least
more
do
like
all-
thing to say.
15-foot like
Debbie, do all gay
span
people have
from
long
like
hair?
hand to hand. What do you
Listen,
think?
Listen. I wanted to say one thing here. Let's just say that somebody's gonna do something for you, provide you with something, and they're gonna sit something out in the woods, and you're gonna pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of it. Okay? Don't you want to know that
Is
that
it a
thing is actually
peach?
out in the woods?
Hey, Debbie,
Does it
here's a passage
good?
from the Bible. It says,
Yes or no?
he told her
Yes
all
or
his
no?
heart, and he said to her, a razor has
Does it
never
taste
come
good?
upon my head, for I have been a
you
Nazarite
answer
to
my
God
question,
from my mother's
please?
womb.
If
My
you're
head has
paying,
been
if
shaved, and
you're
my
paying
strength
out of
will
your
leave
pocket
me, and
for
I shall
something
become
that
weak
somebody
like
says
any
that
other
you're paying
man.
for that's sitting out in the woods, don't you want to go out
So
there
you're
and explore
ignoring the
and see it for
Bible,
yourself?
Deb. You're ignoring that Bible, Deb.
If you're paying
Why do you
for
hate?
something,
Why do you hate
and it's
Jesus,
expensive,
Debbie?
if you're paying for something that's very expensive, and they tell you it's out in the woods, don't you want to see
Debbie,
it for
we already
yourself?
realized the benefits of that expense.
Is that yes or
We
no? Is that a
enjoy
yes
these
or no?
television. We enjoy these
Do you not
television
want
shows
to
all the
see it?
time.
Are you curious about it if it exists?
You know-
Here's
Yes or
another
no?
passage in the Bible, Debbie. It says,
You
all of the
can't answer
days
that,
of his
can you?
vow of separation, no razor shall touch his head until the time is completed for which he separates
Don't
himself
bring
to
up
the
quotes in
Lord.
vain,
He shall
sir.
be
You're
holy.
not teaching. You're
He
not
shall
a preacher,
let the
sir.
locks
You're
of his
not a
hair of
preacher,
his
sir.
head grow
Don't say the
long.
words in
But
vain,
you're a
sir.
woman.
I'm
You're not
quoting
supposed to
the
be teaching
Bible.
anybody anything according to the Bible as a
We're
woman.
not in
Boom.
a church setting. We're not in a church setting, sir. That's
So then
all
I
it
can
applies to
I
church
can speak.
setting.
We're not in the church setting.
That's because we have Jezebels out there.
I'm not. Hey, I have nothing to do with
sir.
me. I'm just quoting the
Show me
Bible.
where they're
Fucking
at.
material. But
Hey, Deb, I'm
where are
quoting the
these
Bible.
Jezebels?
Jezebels, because they thought it was inappropriate for a woman to speak. It's only the man of authority.
I
because
do. I'm
authority-
starting to
the man
agree.
has
I'm
a-
really
the
starting
man
to agree
has
with him.
more authority in a church over than a woman. Okay, sadly,
Deb, but I'm
it is
quoting the
true.
Bible.
So women rule the world, actually. if you think
Okay,
about it.
well that's anti-biblical.
Whatever.
Women were
And-
considered
and
property
you're
according to the
done.
Bible.
And
Women
you're
do
done.
rule this world. They do. They do. You can't live without us. Point blank.
Yeah, but according to the Bible, women should not rule the world.
Can't live without men.
I agree, so to speak. But anyways.
So anyway, so Deb, I quoted two passages
got
from the
queens out
Bible
there.
about men having long hair and
You
it
got
being holy.
royalty queens
So
out
now
there.
what?
But anyways, answer my question, please. If you're paying something for something, you know, just like you go to a store, you buy something, it's in your hand, you take it home, you do whatever you want to have. But if you're buying something and somebody tells you it's sitting out in the woods and you're paying for something, don't you want to go out and see it for yourself? That you're paying all this money?
No, I don't.
Because you're paying
You
for a
don't
service.
care.
As long as I'm
Liar.
getting
You're-
that service,
you're a
why does
liar.
it matter? Why do I need to go see where that service is coming from? If I'm
Right.
paying for
Liar.
satellite
You're a
TV.
liar.
I'm getting
liar.
satellite TV. Hang on, no, I'm not. If I'm
Liar.
getting satellite TV, I've literally had satellite TV, and I didn't feel the need to go to space and look at the satellite to see it.
Liar.
All right,
Liar.
Debbie, you
because
forgot the
I'm
difference
getting
between a product
satellite
and a service.
TV.
Deb, you forgot there's a difference between a product and a service. You don't
Defenders,
pay
oh
to
my God,
see. You don't
gatekeeping
pay
you
to
guys are.
see a service as an object. You pay to
Well,
to experience the
You
service.
get the result.
So that's what you pay
Well,
for.
Debbie, have you ever looked
Yeah.
to see if a cable company exists that provides the cable to your house?
Heck, right now,
Oh.
Debbie, you're on the internet.
Yeah,
Have you
I've
gone
seen
to
those-
talk to your
I have
ISP
seen
in
those satellite
person?
launches.
No,
I've
no,
seen
Deb, right
that
now,
even
how are
when they
you
were
communicating with us on the internet? How are you able to do what you're doing? You have not seen the technology with your own eyes.
You only see the service.
No.
Oh, Debbie, you've been shut down.
I said signal.
You can't see signals.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
Have you seen the
Hey,
ones and zeros?
hey, Deb. So what to everything that you said as well? Thank you.
Genuine image of a satellite in orbit.
Signals. You said so what to signals? You haven't seen the signals. So what?
That's
So what?
the
I haven't seen the
results.
satellite in orbit. Exactly.
That's
You're
the
saying
result.
we're saying what we said earlier. We see the results. We see the TV programs. Those are the results of what we pay for. Thank you, Deb, for proving our point.
Nope.
No, Deb, you've been shut down.
You
Game
have
over.
not definitively
It's
shown me
over, Deb.
scientifically that the signal is going to a satellite. I
And
want
you
to
haven't
see
showed us.
it.
You haven't showed us any signal,
is
any proof that what
money,
you're
money,
doing right
money,
now on the
money
internet
poured
is
into
based
this.
upon any
It's
signals.
the biggest scams. And
You
stuff.
haven't proved to us that the reason why you're able to talk to us on the internet right now is because of a signal. You haven't seen it.
Listen, we had landlines and things like that. We know
But
these
you
things
don't got them
exist.
now.
We see the landlines. Yeah,
You're not looking at no landlines now.
they still do exist.
Oh, but you haven't seen them.
POTS are going away. As somebody who works
I've
exclusively with
seen
VoIP phones,
landlines. I've seen telephone poles.
as somebody who
things like
works
that.
exclusively
Visible.
with VoIP phones, I must say the POTS is going away. You're not going to see landlines for much longer, in the sense that like you're going to have copper wire going to a phone jack where you can plug an RJ45 cord to. I mean, it's just not going to be there anymore.
Deb, for all you know, these could all be pre-recorded things, and they're just calibrated to your reactions and your responses.
You
How
could
do
just
you
be
know?
a brain in a vat.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm seeing dozens of these launches and stuff like that. They put these things up there. It's sketchy. I mean, it's just a clown show to me. It don't look.
What's the
legit,
sketchy
it don't look
part?
Real.
It looks very
Uh,
real.
No,
Your concept of what looks real is really screwed.
it looks like cartoon. Almost.
No,
like
it doesn't.
cartoon
You're just
animation,
you're
whatever.
just being goofy. It doesn't
Yeah,
look
I'm
like a
not being goofy.
cartoon. Yeah, you are.
When you
Okay,
have
I got
people
another
out
image.
there that
I got
are
another image for you,
familiar
Debbie.
with stage work and stuff like that, and they actually work in that a particular field, they're an expertise in it.
The
they explain
ultimate
what is
flat
wrong,
earthers
what is wrong in the
scam.
imagery,
The ultimate
stuff,
flat
the
earther
footage.
sense of what is the word? Cynicism is just to say anything. You could just say anything doesn't look real. This doesn't look real.
When
That
a
doesn't look
rocket-
real. It looks
when
like a
the
cartoon.
Rockets don't go straight up, sir. They go around the Earth, the rotation once or twice.
So
They switch to simulation. Do you have any bona fide footage of it
And-
like, going around? No, they show simulations. They don't show the whole thing. And sometimes
Can I
the
ask-
figures
Rockets
are
are
off
fucking balloons, dude.
as far as the
Hey.
timing, as well is off.
Rocket.
you would have
rocket
to know what the
assisted
timing is,
balloons.
Debbie. What do you know
Rocket
about
assisted
rocket
balloons.
timing?
Everybody should
There's
know this.
other people that
Rocket
do
assisted
know a little bit about it and what speed would get off
Everybody,
the ground and how far.
no, everybody should know it's a rocket assisted balloon, right?
Who the fuck is this clown?
Who the fuck are
All right,
you?
so basically,
Answer the question,
Debbie,
goof-ass.
I got a quick question for you. Debbie, we were talking a little while ago
Rocket
about where to
assisted
point satellite
fucking
dishes.
balloons.
Am I,
You can't
connected?
deny it. You know it's fucking true.
Yes, I am
Just
connected.
pointing out some peculiar things. That's all.
So Debbie,
Debbie, you're
I,
just being a cynic.
I'm not on board with. Don't
all right.
do that, sir.
I
I'm
guess
not.
I won't
I'm
be
just
able to
not on board with
That's-
that. You believe what
No,
you
go
wanna
ahead,
believe.
guy. Go ahead. What you got to say?
All right. I just posted an image a little while ago with a bunch of lines on it. And I'm just trying to ask Debbie how all these satellite dishes, which are indicated by little black half circles with little black lines coming off them, they're all pointing essentially in the same direction, south-southwest. And
Video is not
look at the
available
tower
to
map, where all the towers are located. So only one of those antennas would point correctly.
Bro, your video is showing up, dog. Post something real.
Even
What?
if he were to post something real, you would say that it's fake, that it's not, it
It's
doesn't look real.
fucking
And
real,
I can
dude.
show you. I can
Fuck
show
up.
you imagery you
Yeah,
would say is real, and I'll
bitch.
tell you
No,
that,
no,
that
this
it's
is
fake.
Fucker, you
actually what
flame
I've done.
destruction. You come up in me fucking face.
And I can
You
prove
tell
that
me
it's
I would
fake.
fucking tell you it's fake. You son of a bitch.
I don't
You
care
show me
how
something that's
angry you
fucking
get.
fake, and I'll show you it's
I don't,
fucking fake, dude.
I don't care how
Show me
angry
something
you
real, I'll
get. You
tell you
ain't
it's
gonna stop
fucking
me from
real.
talking with it.
Don't argue, please. So
Who is
the
the stool
question
shit
is,
so I can mute him?
Wait, guys, relax, settle down. And
the question was, do I have a video of this?
get into the actual meat of the argument, guys.
Okay, the question is, do I have a video of this? No, this is observed by me where I go and I line up the antenna. This is the alignment that is specified by DirecTV, which tells you where to align it. And no matter where I go in town and I ask DirecTV where I should point that antenna, it's always the same answer for miles and miles and miles. So you don't need a video. This is a concept I'm presenting here, saying that you can't terrestrially point your antenna at a tower if you're all pointing the same fucking direction on the compass.
Agreed. You're right.
So
All right, what if the satellite was just somewhere stuck to the dome?
Then people
They
from
would all be
various
pointing.
parts of the country would have to adjust how they're pointing it so that some of those directions converge to that dome. You'd have to have, you wouldn't have such a parallel direction.
They're all pointing in the same direction up at the dome.
That's fine. Okay, but I think most people assert that the dome is spinning. That's how the stars move. So
Ether
if the dome is
something.
spinning, then the satellite would not be at a fixed location. The other thing is, if you assert any distance less than 38,000 miles, it doesn't work. So if the dome is 38,000 miles, yes, a geostationary orbit on a fixed dome could be glued there, I guess.
You're
Well,
always
that's what I was trying to get at.
presupposing how the sky works, Moyak. Even in your model and the flat Earth model, you always
No,
got these
no, this is
presuppositions
just
of
pure
how the sky
logic and
works.
deduction.
Jeremy, that doesn't even apply here because you've got, if your dome is so, let's say your dome is 50 miles high, then the direction that those satellites have to point throughout the country would have to converge on that 50-mile point.
Let's say the dome's.
Hold on. So let's just look at America, for instance, from California to New York. Okay.
You just presupposed how high the dome was.
Okay, then let's not presuppose how high the dome is. Let's just use logic here. The higher the dome, the more that the higher up the angle is between the two locations from California to New York that the satellite dishes can point. But like the other person said, if you want to say that the dome is 38,000 miles high, then we need to hear that. So why don't you throw out a number? What's the highest that the dome cannot? I mean, what's the lowest number that you say the dome could not be lower than? The dome can't be lower than what?
I'm not like you guys. I don't presuppose how the sky works.
Well, then what I've said, if you're going to assert that the dome is 38,000 miles, that's fine and that works. It'll give you the same observation as long as the dome is fixed. Okay, well, then we've got other problems like, well, then we can't hit the dome with rockets when we go up 100 miles, as is asserted by some of your brethren. So
how did the satellite get up there in the first place then, right?
Yes. It also means that the ISS is moving in the atmosphere because it's only 200 miles up. So is the ISS also glued to the dome at 38,000 miles? No, it can't be because the distance when you triangulate it is 200 miles. So you've got a problem now. It's hanging from the dome on a string.
And you've got a bigger problem.
But it's moving, so the dome has to be moving for that, but it's fixed for the other one. I'm a little confused, Jeremy, please.
And you've got a bigger problem. Southern hemisphere movements in the sky can't be explained with the dome.
That's true, of course, but yeah, we're just sticking with the satellites at this moment. And you've got a serious problem in logic here. You've got a impossibility. The necessary antecedent is being violated, dude.
Ooh, man, I know what's his name would hate you for saying that. you did an anti-Oakleyism.
So Jeremy, you can derp all you want. Why don't you think before derping? Think of what the implications are of what you're saying. How do all these lines point in the same fucking direction?
Yes, I'll take your advice.
Yeah, Jeremy, hurry up and say something before I start telling people what you're thinking again.
There is one
Goodbye.
other problem with this. This is a 2D representation. It even gets worse because I now have an elevation to work with because I have to have mine pointed up. I think it's 50 degrees. It's been
Just
10
keep-
years since I align my dish. But
Keep-
you have to aim it up in the air 50 degrees, which means that the only tower I could hit would be one that was, I don't know, on my property.
Wait, could you repeat that? I want to understand that more clearly. I apologize.
Okay, elevation. If I take a line of elevation from my house, from my roof, and I aim it up 50 degrees to where I have my dish aligned, it doesn't intersect Earth anymore. And I would have to have a 200-foot tower on my property in order for me to intersect that antenna.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time understanding. I'm trying to visualize it.
Okay, look on a flat plane. You have a tower 200 feet away from your house. It's 200 feet tall.
Okay.
What angle do you have to look at it?
Well, the top of the tower being 200 feet, so it would be, I guess, the height of me. I don't know. I guess
you're taking it from the ground. You're on the ground. It's a flat plane. It's 200 feet tall and it's 200 feet away. You're going to look up 45 degrees.
Oh, okay, if I'm looking up 45 degrees, and I would be what, about 100 feet away?
200 feet away.
I'll be okay. So I'll be 200 feet away from a tower that's 200 feet tall. 45. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, 45.
Yeah.
90.
So on my property.
Okay, got you so far.
I would have to have a 500-foot tower for me to reach to aim my antenna at the antenna on that tower at 50 degrees. That's essentially what we're talking about. So the next tower that's a mile away, that tower would have to be miles tall, or a mile tall.
Oh, in order for people below to all get a good signal. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. So and every one of those antennas also not only in azimuth but elevation is the same.
So wait, are you saying that once you go, I'm not saying that this is a hard truth, but is it generally the truth that once you get below 45 degrees, you're going to get a bad signal because of other buildings in the way and things like that?
No, that would be a bad example because you basically have, just strike a line from yourself 45 degrees. If the trees are more than
proportionally high,
75 feet away from you, you can do 45 degrees.
Well,
Plus a little Fresnel zone shit and stuff like that, but essentially, if you have trees a mile away from you and you're in an open field, you could look down much closer to the horizon.
what was the question to Jeremy? He was trying to. I think he was going to try and answer something before.
Was it about the lines all pointing at the same spot?
how is it that you can have a satellite as high as the dome, and the dome, even if the dome is stationary? Go ahead, guys.
Was that the question, Jeremy? Can you talk now, or have you finished your break,
Poopy
Jeremy?
break.
Yeah, I think he's back to work now. Missed his break, guys.
The other thing is that there's an astronomer. He's never ever seen anything up there. He spent hours upon hours. He has one of the top best telescopes money can buy, paid by his subscribers. He doesn't
we'll never
see
know
any
his name.
objects up there. He does not see. He spent hours. He has a bed outside that he sleeps on.
But we'll never know his name.
Recording for hours and never spotted anything up there.
Debbie, in my pool, swimming around, I see satellites go overhead with my eyes.
Hey, Deb, what's his name? What's his YouTube handle? What's his such and such? What's his this? What's his that? You get the picture.
Let me go to retrieve his name. I forgot.
And I don't care if one person doesn't see it. Everybody else says they do see it.
He's on
so why would you even trust somebody who deviates from every
this man loves astronomy, man. He believed everything that you guys believe. His mind has been changed by his observations. shit don't make
Debbie,
sense. What we've been
Debbie,
led
you're
to
saying
believe.
that every amateur astronomer out there is lying.
He is a
These are
devoted
just people that are not
astronomer.
government related. They're just people.
Well, what's
Yeah.
so special about him, Debbie, that you can put him up against everyone else?
Yeah, why not call him a liar?
You
Because
should.
he has footage. He has.
So do
He
we.
has
He,
footage
he
of what
has.
he didn't see.
He has.
He's
Can you
looking
say that
for these
again? He's got
things.
what?
He's looking for these objects up there, and he says he's nothing.
Well,
How
his
is it that
footage is cartoon. His footage doesn't look
He-
realistic. His footage doesn't look believable. It
he
looks fake.
shows his telescope? The thing is a whopper, man. It is huge. It is huge.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Debbie?
cartoon.
That's what she
Debbie,
said.
if you look up
Capabilities
at
is
this,
unbelievable.
what are the funny streaks that come through his images when he takes a time lapse image
If
when the satellites go overhead?
think about this, if you can view the moon
Hey,
at
Hey,
this,
Deb,
at
you
this,
said
at
it's
that distance,
unbelievable.
they say,
So why do you believe it?
if you listen, if you can see the moon like that, okay,
Yeah.
She said it's unbelievable.
then you should be able to spot something up there flying around.
Well, based on the distance to the moon, which has been measured by radio and light and by traveling there, all three methods, and triangulation, so 4 methods, we see that the moon is 200,000+ miles away, which makes it being about, 1,200 miles in diameter? So you're looking at an object that's 1,200 miles in diameter. And those little dots that you're seeing on the surface, I think the smallest of them that you can see with a telescope is like 30 miles across. So those the tiniest of holes that you see on the moon are 30 miles across.
Have you got pictures from this dude? I was away for a little bit, Debbie. Anything I can look at?
She's still looking.
Look at
Oh,
the
I see.
gentleman's name.
Hey,
Oh,
Deb,
Hasn't been on his videos in a
So
while.
the guy that you put all this credence in, you don't know his name.
Well, that's
Because
okay.
I stopped watching his videos. Like I work and stuff like that. I'm out there and
Oh no, that's fine. I was
don't-
just
Now,
trying to
Debbie,
get some clarification that
David
Debbie,
pulled his channel down, I think, once, and then
Debbie, you said that he has videos of what he didn't see. What is a video of not
he's saying
seeing?
that he spent hours and hours. I'm saying that was his life, is astronomy. He's saying
And
that
did he
it's
see?
a
Did he claim to see the things that we all see, like the
that
ISS?
what they're saying is
Everybody
a
sees
built
the ISS.
construct, and that it's not what it appears to be.
Right, but everybody sees the ISS. So did he say he never saw the ISS, or did he say he doesn't see enough detail to be happy with?
No, I think he has footage of it, but it came out like a blob. They did some
Okay.
type of measurements, and then something just wasn't right. They had some type of expert. I don't know if he was from Russia. He's got like a
Oh.
lot of people from Russia and stuff like that. That examine this stuff, and
so he had a decent telescope, did he?
it's just that the size of it wasn't adding up.
Size doesn't
according
matter.
to the
Yeah.
figures that they came up with.
He didn't buy that from IKEA, did he?
it's amazing how Russians are now considered the go-to people for all of these far-right conspiracy theorists. He was from Russia.
I don't know. He has some special intel and some knowledge with some stuff. It's some deep stuff.
I bet he
Yeah.
does. You're falling right into it.
Yeah, so the special intel against everybody that you've talked to here who's an amateur astronomer who's taken
Well, I
images.
don't really care all about
who's
that, but I
gotten
care
pretty
about
damn, I mean, some people who've been in here, I think, have produced some pretty damn good images of the ISS. I can't remember who it was, but I thought there's been a couple.
Probably Kaiser.
Kaiser got a good one? Was he,
Probably.
So you can actually see the arrays a little bit?
Pardon?
You can see the arrays, the solar arrays and stuff?
I haven't seen any photos of the ISS by Kaiser, but he's probably got them.
And of course, watch this. I can make her laugh. There's Red's Rhetoric, who took it as it transited the moon with Astronomy Live, I think it was. There's a lot of credible images of the ISS that doesn't look like just a blob. It actually has distinct features.
Yeah, I've seen those. There's
So,
some
Deb,
footage,
let's
yeah.
make sure we understand. When we show you good images of distinct features of the ISS, you say that that's cartoon and fake. But when someone that you can't even name, you don't even know who he is, shows you nothing, even though you say it's unbelievable, you believe him.
I don't see what he would gain to lie. I see
Okay,
that I see everything NASA to gain to lie. That
What
it's
does
money
Kosho
involved.
get to? What does Kosho get to lie? What does I forget who our astronomers are, but there's one of them Aussie.
And they have
Aussie
everything to lose.
What if-
once they're
Right, but what
exposed.
do
And they're being
Aussies
exposed.
like? What do Aussies like? I can't remember any names. What do all the amateur astronomers who've talked in here say about it, and why do they have a reason to lie and he doesn't?
There's something up there for sure. I'm just saying that. But to
Well,
say
there's
that
something
there's-
up there, and it looks like it's
there's-
described. It's got panels, it's got solar arrays, it's got a central core. It's on occasion it used to have space shuttles go to it. There's images that show when the Soyuz is there and not there, so it changes in shape, in keeping with the shape of the technology of the day, which used to be shuttles, now it's capsules. It even shows a man spacewalking on it at one point, but it is a pretty indistinct blob. But there's at least one video or image of a spacewalker, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, you know what people have to gain by trying to dismiss this and trying to be cynical? They gain attention. They get their own economy going. They get to generate a little bit of income for themselves as well, and they get to feel important. Human psychological disorders in their varying degrees can motivate people to do things that are cynical like this.
This man is way smarter than you when it comes to astronomy.
Doesn't mean that he
What
doesn't
you
have his own
say.
agenda.
Don't say
You would
about
admit that the
attention.
Illuminati are smarter than you and me,
Don't
and yet
say,
you would think they have an agenda.
Don't say that. You don't know the gentleman. You never spent hours watching his videos, his footage, and things like.
You
explaining
demonize people
things.
who have spent hours and hours and hours as well, and you'll say that they spend hours and hours and hours of lying. So why not him?
His logic is impeccable.
I see no what he would gain.
I just explained to you what he would gain. He would
doesn't
gain
have that much
attention.
money.
He would generate a little bit of
He's not a
income
rich
for
man.
himself, and he would be able to validate himself. If he's a cynic and if he has any other type of issues, he would be able to sink his time and energy into that psychological disorder.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving the
I'm not shooting the
message
messenger.
out.
The messenger
That
seems to
he
be
has
ignorant of people's
one of
motivations.
the top telescopes that money can buy, paid by his subscribers. He's got thousands of filters.
Yeah, but I just
he's got
explained to
all
you.
these little gadgets.
Subscribers.
All
just
these
gave him-
type of
you just gave him
filters.
motive.
He changes. He watches the sun. He does everything. I mean everything.
Debbie,
He's never
you just
spotted.
gave a motive.
He has never spotted nothing up there. Not even that one
Debbie,
satellite.
you
space
just
junk,
gave a
anything.
motive.
Yeah, clearly we
understand
see
that?
them in with our own eyes. 40
Deb,
miles away.
Moyak just gave you a valid point. Will you please respond?
Go ahead.
You just gave a motive, Debbie. His subscribers paid for his telescope.
Money.
So he has to lie
He
in order to
didn't
get them to
ask.
pay for things.
He didn't ask. It was them that asked. They wanted to see more quality footage of the
And
things
same
that were
thing
out
with
there.
a lot of the other people that you accuse of being a liar. A lot of these astronomers, they don't ask for money. They don't ask for any of this stuff either. And yet you demonize them all the same.
Tell
Who?
is so we can go look at it.
Who are demonized?
Red's
Deb just
rhetoric,
had a brain fart.
soundly. Red's rhetoric soundly. Lots of people you've demonized.
Oh, okay
Me?
then. Oh wow. Okay.
Me on occasion.
Deb, it's
We've
okay
already
for
went
you
over
to say that you're
soundly.
wrong. Debbie, you have never said that you're wrong since I've heard you on here. So,
Listen,
you know,
drop
that's
your
another
ego,
thing.
please. Drop the ego, please.
That's strange. I'm sitting up here talking about you admitting when you're wrong, never doing it, and you're talking about my ego. So that's obvious
I
projection.
just said something's up there. There's something up there, but
No,
I mean, you
that's
can't,
not what I'm saying. You have
you can't
never
say
admitted that
definitively.
you're
You gotta shut
wrong
up
when you
about
have
that
been
there's-
called out, and that is an impossible feat. No human
But it
is
doesn't-
capable of that many times.
It does not. It does not stop there, sir. It's like
Well,
you see
ma'am,
for
you
what
gotta be wrong
clown
at least
show is,
sometimes.
and you see them on harnesses and the
Ma'am.
new technology, virtual reality, insert 3D objects.
Ma'am, you
and
gotta be
whatnot,
wrong at
holding
least
balls.
sometimes.
No, I'm not wrong on that. I'm not.
No,
wrong
no,
on
you gotta
that.
be at
They
least
are
wrong
on
sometimes.
harnesses. They are on harnesses.
No, they
on
are not.
harnesses.
I can prove through logic that they're not on harnesses.
Simulating
Their arms go
anti-gravity
through
or
where the
whatever.
harness has to be. Debbie,
They
I can
started
prove
out
they're not on
dropping in
harnesses 'cause
airplanes.
when you look at them, their arms go through where their harness would have to be.
Do you remember the footage of the ISS? The Russians have slammed, and literally slammed into
There
the
it
wall.
is,
They
the
were on an
Russians again.
aircraft. They were
Hey,
on.
we should
They,
all
they were
we should all
on an
defend
aircraft.
Russia
It's so
'cause we can only
obvious. They
trust
were on an
Russians.
aircraft. They were on an aircraft.
We can only trust
It was so
Russians.
obvious. Yeah. They,
Oh, wait a minute.
all
What
of
about
them.
the
There was about 4 of
Russian
them.
space program? Do you demonize that as well? Is the
All of
Russian
a
space
sudden, they
program also
were check
screwy?
marking, I guess, their shit, and then all of a sudden, wham! They go slamming into a wall. How does that happen if they're?
I find it
There's
strange
like
how so many
2,000 miles per
right-wing
hour?
people are now drifting towards Russia.
Sorry.
Like that's a trustworthy source.
How long have you been
Your
into this?
grandparents will be rolling in their graves if they heard
Since
you talk the way that you do.
2015, I've been on to this lie. Okay.
Your grandparents will be rolling in their graves after
Oh,
the
you're
sacrifices
funny,
they made.
You're hilarious.
Piles of evidence.
From Russia.
Evolution. Junk,
What you
junk
call
science.
evidence and what you deny
There's
is
something
evidence,
called
which is very
junk
telling.
sciences. I would call junk sciences, and many of it
Yes.
is. But
Flat Earth is junk science.
there is real science out there. But the gaps that they fill in the blanks, is nothing but theoretical bullshit concepts that you have to use your imagination and some type of.
Debbie, it's funny how you describe your problem as if it's the other side. It's funny how you use the terms. I get it. It's a really cool trick. I guess you learned that from Oakley, where you simply take what's been criticized of you and then just use the same criticism back. But it doesn't really work.
Shorty, I stand alone on this, but I do have followers. I have people that back me 100%. Okay.
And you have
reaching
you
out
have
to
an
me,
agenda.
Ask me how I am. Okay, but I do stand alone. I make my own decisions on
You
things.
have an agenda,
I
Debs.
do form my own opinions. I'm very, very well. I'm awake. I'm an awakened
Not really. You
individual.
believe a guy who says
No, I'm an
satellites
awakened
aren't real.
individual. And it took a while for all this to process. Okay, I was very upset and sad.
No,
with some of
Debbie,
the
you
things.
like to use a
No.
lot of the nice, catchy
No.
little phrases and words.
No,
and
I'm
like
not
you
doing
like
that.
to have some
No.
kind of
No,
issue
you want to
to
razzle
rail
dazzle
on
me
about.
with words is what you want to do.
And what happens is when the reality
No.
of reality is shown to you, you tune it out.
You just tuned me out for like 2 minutes. Me
At
trying
a young
to get into
age,
a word.
it's a total lie. It's a crap.
Hey, why is it when Moyak speaks, you talk over him? You don't even talk over me as bad.
Because you replied to me, and so I was replying back. I can't help that he stepped in. I'm sorry, Moya. This happened here on occasion. Get used to it.
No, with
This
you
is
it's
a snake
continuous.
pit. This is a snake pit. This is not my first pony show. And boy, I've been here longer than you have.
Well, then you're doing really bad. Let me tell you something. I love it how people say, "Oh, I've got more experience," and I'm looking. Well, since I'm considered the weakest link amongst the globe people, it's funny how easily it is for me to debunk you. I mean, you're pretty bad. If I'm the one that can debunk you so quickly
Look,
on a
you're
psychological
out here
level,
to
as
win.
as
I'm
as
out
a matter
here
of
to wake
fact.
people up. Listen.
Well, you're
if
putting people to
win
sleep.
an argument. You're here to
You're
win
putting
an
people to
argument.
sleep.
That's on you. That's on you. And you walk away with the hard dick. Whatever, man. Whatever. Is this what you come here for, entertainment or what?
Are you like what's the sexual innuendos for? What's all that about?
That was not an innuendo.
Listen, you already attacked me. You attacked me first.
I attacked your position on the issue. I don't care about you.
That's your
You mean
problem. Don't
nothing.
make it mine. Now, if you have some sort
It
of
is your
evidence
problem
that supports your
because
beliefs,
you
then
brought
damn
it
well
up.
show it. If you have definitive evidence, and I mean concrete,
We just
empirical
provided
evidence,
it to
show
you. We
it.
just provided definitive evidence.
No, you have
Your
not.
concept
No, you
of
have not.
definitive evidence
No,
is
you
that
have
you have to
not.
see
I have to
the
use my
particle with your own
imagination,
eyes.
basically. Use my imagination, basically.
Saying,
From an
because
Arthur C. Clarke novel, from an Arthur C. Clarke Freemason pedo.
Me, I'm gonna just shut everything
Pedophile.
down. That's what Flat Destruction says.
I mean, Debbie, I gave you incontrovertible, logical proof that the radio towers cannot be the source of GPS and or satellite TV.
The cat's out of the bag. They're launching balloons up there, gondolas, instruments. They're
Even those are proven.
Galaxies using these scientific ballooning programs. They're all over the world. I got the map. I have all the dates that go way back to the 50s and stuff like that. And the funny
Debbie, we don't believe you.
that
You're
the
lying.
first module,
End of discussion.
that the first module was called MIR, M-I-R, that it was launched on a
Who the
balloon.
fuck is this flattened destruction that thing? Because everything is
That
not
thing
going
was
this
launched on
way.
a balloon.
So
I've got
Debbie,
the
you just
document. I've
lied.
got the
I'm calling you
document.
out as a
You
liar
can go
again.
fuck
I've got the
yourself, flattened
document.
destruction. Who the fuck do you think you are, flattened
Got the
destruction?
document.
So
Whatever,
Debbie,
man.
I'm calling you out as a liar.
Popular Earth. Whatever, man. There's no proof of that.
Well, prove that Mir was launched on balloons, and I will concede.
Listen, I'm gonna have to go through thousands of images.
Oh,
and
you don't
Photoshop.
have the proof. We're done.
Proof. I can get the proof.
No. You were supposed to go get the proof of the other thing that Moyak had asked for, and you still haven't done that.
Why don't
What's
you
that?
What's the name of that? What's the name of that astronomer?
Oh, you done? Then get
What's the name of that astronomer?
iPad. I'm not on my
Fucking
iPad. I'm not on my iPad. I'm on a small phone.
Oh, you're on your iPad. You're lying.
Wait, I thought you said you weren't on your iPad.
Right? She's lying.
Is this a phone or an iPad?
Hey, is your iPad plugged into the network or using the wireless to
I
communicate
don't
to us
have
right
it.
now?
Was I was just stating I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it now.
But I have the document in my. It's in my.
No, you
phone,
don't. You're
Adam.
lying.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Oh, you're
Come
lying.
on, flat
So
Earth.
you okay? So I have to go to
Destruction.
Wingshot for this and 3,000 images that I have. Okay. I'll do it just for you. Let me go find my.
Sure, you do it just for me. This is all psychology. That's all this is. I wonder if some of these flat earthers are actually practicing psychological bullshit. There's absolutely
Not
no
Debbie.
flat
Debbie's a
earth.
true believer. Debbie
Yeah,
is a
but
true
she's
believer.
What
But
I
she's
see is he's just
but
everything
she still
revolves
uses
around him, right?
psychology as a
And
way
then
to
look at him,
purport
look at him. He
to
gets
promote
stuck
her
for 10
arrogance.
seconds to let me vent. There's many moderators that don't do shit. Let me fucking talk for 10 seconds, damn it. Because people know who the fuck are you, Flat and Destruction, because you got credentials, because you are somebody in life. They're gonna let you talk and let you do this, disrespect people this way, because everything is not revolving around you. You think you can stop everybody, then yeah, we're done. Yup, we're done. But you say we are done, but everybody, every time people say something, you have to jump in and tell them, no, you're wrong and we're done. Who in the fuck are you?
You feel better? Jose, you feel better?
Let it out, man. Let it out. Love you.
Hey,
man. Love you,
Jose,
man.
why is it that I can see the moon and I see the same face of the moon as everyone else on Earth if the Earth
Why
is flat?
every time that I wipe my ass, if I decide to look in the toilet, for some reason your name ring a bell every time I see you?
Jose's
Yeah, so
a
you don't
great
have an
guy.
answer.
He
Got
just
it.
is a anti-angry person. He doesn't like when people talk negatively to retards.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. He's capitalizing on the fact I do like to interrupt from time to time. But in this conversation, I've interrupted here and there, but no different than the others. So it's not a big deal to me. In fact, I didn't interrupt him while he ranted on against me.
Flat and Destruction. I got
I
zero
don't
respect for him,
care.
all the respect for Debbie. Shut up.
Good for you. Good for you.
Shout out to you, Jose.
Jose,
there you
Debbie
go.
is about the rudest person in this server. She talks over people continuously. What the fuck are you
Listen,
talking about?
this is the
Remember
smoke
when
if you don't know
Debbie
by now.
was challenged to explain why is it
When
that
I
some
first
people
came here, I was
try
lied
to
to from the
perpetuate the
get-go.
flat Earth mission? She's like, well, there's no good reason. Why would someone do it? She just was given a reason. She gets that attention.
I'm not trying to gain attention. I've already been through all that, got the attention, picked up some subscribers here and there and stuff like that. There was people wanting me to come on their shows and stuff like that.
Therein is your agenda. You got the attention.
I don't. That's not. No, that's not. I'm not trying to gain some type of.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
Destruction.
not. No, I'm not. I have a right to speak my mind just like you or anybody else.
Hey,
Jose,
Destruction. Can you hear me?
Is that Mr. Reality flapping?
Hey, man.
There is a wake up moment that happens. It happens for some, and for some it don't because they've been deceived. So
Hey, Deb, do you leave
Deception
at
is so
9
deep.
o'clock on the dot?
Deception
Do you stay
becomes
until
so
10
deep
o'clock?
that it just don't wake up nobody, and it won't. That's what we're gonna
Deb,
have
it's
this
almost 9
over
o'clock.
and over
Are you
ad
gonna 5 more
nauseam.
minutes?
Can we have less people pissing all over the walls here? Come on.
Destruction. Can you hear me?
Let me have 1 second.
You guys do make some
I
good
just want to
points.
ask
I have to.
Jose a question.
You do make good
Why
points,
do
and you sound.
Debbie is the rudest person on this server, and
No,
why do
I'm
you
giving
defend
you-
her talking over people?
I'm
Flat
just a loud voice, like I was labeled on Google Plus out of 500 profiles. I have the loudest voice. I do. I'm
No,
sorry.
you
I
talk over
apologize for
people.
that. I'm just passionate about this. That's all. I just want to come to
Doesn't
the
matter.
truth,
You're a rude cunt.
and then Then
Can I please say
see,
something?
there you go.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead. I'm
uncalled
sorry.
for. That's
Just
uncalled
talk
for.
over Debbie
Moya.
because she won't stop.
Yeah,
Can
you
I-
said
we
something
got
about
past-
some dicks and stuff earlier, and that
I
was
thought-
uncalled for.
Hey guys, can I please say
I
something?
apologize for that. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize. But listen, I have been shot left and right on this server. Okay, and you build a tough skin, a tough heart, and
You didn't.
you just remain strong in your own skin. And I'm just a tough cookie. That's all. But I am weak at times as well. And
All right, I really recommend you just talk over her. She won't stop.
Quick question.
I want to be wrong about this. I want to be wrong with this. And
Mr. Reality, he ain't gonna get your question out.
Flat and Destruction. Have you had a
We'll
chance?
never have it. We'll never have it all figured out.
Debbie,
never have it all
shut
figured
the
out.
fuck up. You.
I told you.
4 years, 5 years, or whatever
Debbie,
into it.
Debbie, you're an imbecile. Shut up. Let other people talk.
Okay, go.
Yeah, Debbie, stop acting like Flat and Destruction. Gosh.
Go.
So, Flat and Destruction. Have you had a chance to go to the other server inside the arena thing?
I don't think so.
24/7
No.
Arena.
Yeah, 24/7 arena. I heard this. I haven't been in there because when I went over there, it was locked. But I was told that it's for people who really like to debate. Like it's for just debating. And I figured you'd be over there or have visited. But if you haven't,
I've been over there. It just evolves into a dog pile. Everybody starts insulting the anybody they disagree with.
Really?
Mr. Reality, you gotta
QE was
understand.
popping in. Like nobody stops QE from acting like an absolute fucking animal. She was like, "You fucking idiot! You fucking moron! You're so fucking stupid!" You just nonstop.
Mr. Reality, just because I cut in sometimes, it's not that extreme. What happens is that you've got someone. I always watch what goes on. There's a long period of the flat earther flapping on about nonsense, and I come in and I just dig in a little bit. It hasn't been that bad.
well, I was just wondering if you've personally been over there. I was talking to Zanuck about it. And I've yet to talk to anybody that has actually debated anybody in it.
I have.
I can't get in there. How do you get in
Wait,
there?
are you talking about the flat Earth, the one that Oakley and Quantum Eraser hosts?
No, this is in 24/7. It's called the Arena, and it's
someone needs to
locked.
send the
I
link.
just went in there when it was open, and I popped in, and somebody challenged me. It was somebody like, and he's like, "Can you prove to me you're not brainwashed?" Like, what a stupid fucking question to ask somebody.
Hey, yeah. Flat
Well, it's
Destruction.
what
If
your
you go over
definition
there,
of proof is.
if you go over there,
no, I'm not going to sit there and try and prove a negative. Is the point?
Oh no, I know. I'm agreeing with you. Proving a negative is absurd, but that's the whole game. Their game
Yeah,
is.
if they want to say that I'm brainwashed, that would be the onus of proof is on them.
It's a loaded question.
You've been told all this stuff your whole life, and I was like, well, you don't know what I think, and you don't know what I believe, and you don't know how I've come to my conclusions. So you're simply saying that I'm brainwashed is without knowing anything about me, just because of the conclusion I've reached is premature. And so I shut the fuck up about that and started arguing about something else.
If you're saying proving a negative is absurd, I'm telling you right now, you can't have gas pressure without a container. It doesn't exist. You want to take the other side
You
of
can
that?
have atmospheric pressure without a container.
What?
You can have atmospheric pressure without a container.
You don't need a container. Hang on. You don't need it. First of all, no. You don't need a container.
Okay.
All you
prove me wrong.
need
Let's
is
see it.
something to prevent the molecules from escaping into the vacuum of space. That
Like a
may be
container.
a container. That may be a container, or it may be some other force or phenomena that prevents the molecules of air or gas, whatever it may be.
The other
whatever
force
you
or
wanna call
phenomena
it,
would be a
from-
container.
from escaping into space. So on Earth, we have this thing called gravity. The gravitational pull for the molecules of air, because they have mass, they also have a gravitational pull. That means that there's enough of that to keep it from flying out into space. But we do lose several tons every year. I can't remember exactly how much, but we lose tons of atmosphere.
196.
Yeah, like tons and tons.
So real quick, how do you get in there? How do you get into that arena?
It's just got to be open. I don't know. Maybe only on certain times.
Does someone have a link to it?
Well, Flat Destruction, when it comes down to you going over there, let us know so we can move over there, because I actually want to hear a good debate. I haven't really heard one. over there.
You won't
know
get
what I
one
mean?
over
Like,
there.
Mr. Alley, you got to understand something. If Oakley and Quantum Racer are over there, what they do is they do an extreme, like what Debbie does. They do a pretty much the same thing. That's where I started. I started with debating. The very first thing I ever did was go into the Oakley room, and I spent almost an hour debating with him back and forth his premise. I didn't know anything about this stuff, but I knew that for someone to say, it's like proving a negative. It's like saying you have what did he say? Necessary antecedents. And I'm saying, how can that antecedent be necessary? Why don't you prove that that antecedent is necessary before you continue on to the next point? And we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It was a waste of time.
He also claimed that the Earth has a liquid inner core, according to the globe Earth model, which just shows that he doesn't understand the globe Earth model that he's claiming to debunk.
Because he tries to make liquid equal water.
No. What he says is because it's supposed to be iron and nickel, and it's at this temperature, and the melting point of iron and nickel is far below the temperature of the inner core. That means that the inner core is actually not solid but liquid. But then he ignores the point that there's enormous pressure that increases the melting point of these of these metals. And then I tried to explain to him like how a compressor works, like why a compressor is able to take water vapor and turn it into actual liquid water by compressing it. And it just went right over his head.
Wait a minute. He's trying to say, wait. It sounds like that he had it. Wait. I never
Because
heard
the
him
inner core is greater than the melting point of iron and nickel, he assumes that the temperature is that high that it must be actually liquid. Therefore, it couldn't have a magnetic.
Oh, so he's not understanding that the inner core is solid. Got it.
Yeah. He's claiming that it's liquid, and I had to point out that as pressure increases, the melting point increases as well.
Right. Because you're literally compressing the molecules into a smaller space, which prevents them from going into a liquid phase.
Yeah, it's just like you could fill an ocean with the shit that Oakley claims to understand, but actually doesn't.
And it really comes down to reinterpreting what words mean. Mr. Reality, when you and I went at it for those 2 hours, I had to keep trying to explain to you what the concepts are.
Please don't use that term. Please don't say when you and I went at it, mate. You can use a different term.
No.
When we were going at it.
Well, I didn't know what I was getting into at all. I thought you just wanted to talk. I didn't know that I was coming on some.
I did. I just wanted to talk, but you kept trying to make these claims that were just false. It wasn't. See, there's certain things that aren't a matter of debate. It's like the moon is a sphere. I mean, over there, Oakley and them, they'll say, you never touched the moon. How do you know what it's made of? You can't say if it's spherical or not. That's it.
you got to understand too that in this whole, what is it? Been like 5-10 years, right? 5 or 10 years, this whole flat Earth debate thing came along, our flat Earth conversation. It came in a particular order. It was very strange. If you were paying attention to all the YouTube videos,
which means you've been aware of it for 5 or 10 years, so you can't come at me.
Well, let him finish. I'm curious to see what the order was.
Yeah.
Carry on, Mr. R.
It came in a particular order. So you'll notice that a lot of people that have gotten into it early on have this mindset of, they were also wondering, well, what about this? And these videos came out talking about it. So when you approach these people, at least like when I was approached by you and started talking to you, it wasn't that I knew what I thought was fact. It was more like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? It's kind of like you have to break down each thing, because the order that was given to us that we've seen on YouTube it kind of puts like it's like a little piece building this structure, right, in your mind of how things work. And then in my case, I have to be shown in reverse order, like, well, I heard that it's because of this, and so I throw it out there, and if it's wrong, that little piece falls down. So it slowly starts, taking the whole building apart, from top to bottom. So the foundation.
So what?
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, Miss Rally.
Yeah. So what order is it? What order worked for you, mate? How did you break it down?
Well,
what order did you put things into?
It started with the whole thing began with the 200 proofs, right?
Which are
So you
all
got-
awful, by the way.
Well,
Every one of
when
them
you
is
when you
dumb.
go into it and you hear
I could
that-
go. I wouldn't spend all my time. I wouldn't spend the amount of time necessary to debunk all 200. But I can guarantee you, I could go to any part in that video, hear one of his proofs, and debunk it immediately.
How did you put those 200 proofs into order? Because if you do break it down, it's like a small handful of truths that are repeated in different ways. So I'm just wondering how you. So it's not really
see,
200.
when you're not an engineer, you're not good at math. You kind of have to take what's given to you by faith because you have no idea. You know.
Wait
So
a
you're like,
second. Wait a second. Why would you take something like that by faith so easily?
well, but you have to remember what those 200 proofs were when they start talking about railroad tracks.
But some of them are identical
and-
proofs.
But it's not 200. It's like maybe 10 that are done
it's
20 different
37.
ways.
I counted 37.
Did you? All right. Oh, you're being.
No, I'm being
Maybe I
honest.
wasn't
to God,
being
I'm gonna do
gracious
the
enough.
whole
But
thing
anyway,
again.
Mr. Reality, how did you
Video.
put 200 in order? What order did you put them in? How did you arrange them at least?
No, that's just the first
Your
the
process.
first- Now you're breaking it down by details. I'm talking about the way the videos came out. So
Okay.
In the
I didn't
videos
understand. Like I didn't understand the stuff. A lot of the stuff that was said in the 200 proofs. But I did, start watching a lot of videos, and I watched what's that guy, Globebusters, and I watched a bunch of stuff. And I don't agree with or believe a lot of it, but that doesn't mean that I think that everything they say is completely wrong. So that's what kept me on track, as in
There's no structure to what you're saying. That's the problem. When you first brought this up, I said, well, where's the structure? And you're saying that the structure is based upon the order that you saw the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind is these are various YouTube videos from various different people. There is no way that there's any coherency to that so-called order. So why would you try to conceptualize an order to it? I'm almost done. You would conceptualize an order to what you're seeing and then try to break that order down. It's like you've done wasted time, and then you're wasting time instead of you learning the underpinnings of how this stuff works. You're putting YouTube videos from these people on the same
Dude,
level as structured learning.
You
of
said
math
you
and
were
science.
almost done.
listen.
Yeah, I was. Just chill out.
Yeah, I listened to remember the old the guy who said he was a weatherman. What's his name? He was a weatherman for the Navy or something like that. He made a bunch of videos talking about.
Excuse me, Mr. Reality. Sorry to Did he actually tell me to chill out?
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yes, he did.
You're telling me to chill out.
Yes, I am.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Sorry,
Let's
Mr.
But
Arrow.
anyway, so I'm saying
Please
when you approach, or when you're going to teach somebody who believes in a lot of stuff that's put out, it has to. I think you have to have patience with them, because in their mind they're going to realize maybe something you say might be real, which will mess up another point that was actually relying on what you just destroyed as their foundation. So now they have to throw that at you. So they're bouncing around back and forth because now you're destroying the things that they thought they learned was true. You know what I mean? That they thought was true. So what I'm saying is you have to have on both sides. You know what I mean? We all have to have
No, I
patience.
don't know what you mean. Let me. Okay, here's the thing. You're taking people that bring up stuff in kind of like a isolated way. They bring up isolated facts or counterfacts or claims or counterclaims, and you're comparing that to people who have a structured learning from the foundation, like 1 + 1, 1 × 1, 1 divided by 1, and so forth, right? And then you build on that knowledge, that science and that math. And someone yesterday said, I think in this room, they said something like, you shouldn't try to learn all the science all at once. You need to learn it in stages, more complex stages. And that's pretty obvious, right? You went ahead and skipped all that, and you're trying to put all these little disparate pieces into some kind of coherency, and you're still trying to explain to me why that would be anything other than
You're gone. Or is it me?
No, that's.
I'm done.
Damn it! It wasn't him.
You broke up for a little bit.
So, but yeah, I'm not saying I believe everything I heard, because a lot of stuff I didn't understand. What I'm saying is that when you go at it with people that say, well, you know, the ISS doesn't exist, they're in a pool, they're not shooting rockets in space, space doesn't exist. I come at it differently because I have a different opinion about it all, and I just rely on, I believe stuff that I know, and stuff I don't know, I throw at people like you to see if what I don't know, you know, could be true or not, because I feel like maybe you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm the least qualified person. I can admit that.
That doesn't matter.
People in here.
It doesn't matter. I've heard you say plenty of stuff, and I've heard, you know, a lot of
Not
people
wrong
either.
there.
But I'm just
Yeah,
saying, you
stop
have to
focusing
have-
on insulting me, Waz. That's
you
not
just
that's
have
not
to
the point of
have-
this.
to me, you just
Yeah,
have
well,
to-
Chill
no-
out, man.
no joke.
Come on, chill
Well,
out.
I'm just saying you spent way too much time on it.
Waz, you're such a fucking obnoxious little cunt. Why don't you shut the fuck up?
You know.
It's that.
But Mr.
No,
Alley,
but-
here's the
Waz,
thing.
Waz,
We spent
it-
2
it-
hours of me trying to debate you on. There was like 3 or 4 points which were pretty clear, right? One of them had to. I'll just only mention one. One had to do with, I think, the distance to the horizon and how you can. I think I was trying to explain to you the maximum distance to the horizon couldn't be more than 1 degree of Earth's circumference, right? 1 degree from where you're standing to the horizon.
Who said? Now, is standing height? Like
Yes, standing height. Standing height. We were debating it.
Is Snack menstruating?
Okay.
It just gets old after a while. Waz, learn when your jokes aren't hitting, and learn how to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, learn how to make a joke and have a laugh, mate. Stop taking
It's
yourself
But you
so
done made the
seriously.
same joke 6 times, bro. It's like, okay, haha, we're done.
But what's your point, FP? What's this 1 degree?
You're just
of
a speed bump
horizon
in the
thing?
discourse, Waz.
Well, the flat
Yep.
earther curve was trying to make a point that what if what we're seeing was some kind of what was it? You said something like it was refraction, and then I was showing you the moon, and the moon is squashed. Right. And so I'm saying to you, how can you have refraction?
Specific question.
Yeah, and I'm answering.
Curve's trying to
But you're not. What?
Okay,
what is
well then
this
I can't
1
answer your question.
What is the 1 degree thing you're talking about? Where does that come from?
Oh, okay.
Is that
So
you?
when you're looking from,
They say
when you're
there's-
at standing height, you're looking from where you're standing to the horizon. You can't be looking. The horizon line can't be greater than 70 miles. And 70 miles, a little bit less than 70 miles, is the equivalent of 1 degree of Earth's
Is the
circumference.
rationale for this? I want to know what you're talking about.
I don't know how to answer a rationale. The Earth is what it is. It's a sphere. Okay.
Ask you this.
And
You can answer the question if you think
I'm
about it.
not able to. I'm not able to process what you're saying right now.
Why is what you're saying true? Why do you believe it to be true? The 1 degree.
Because when you look at all of the knowledge that you have gained about the Earth and its diameter or whatever, all of that knowledge, when you break it down, if the Earth is 24,000 miles in circumference,
go ahead back.
then you have to acknowledge that each degree is about 70 degrees, about 70 miles.
And hey, I'm not here to.
And you see what I'm saying? You see, Mr. Alley, you see how the interruptions come and go, right? You
I'm
have
not
to
here
deal with that.
to debate.
You're
you. I'm just
rambling
saying.
nonsense. Get back to talking to Mr. Reality.
So when you have that knowledge, when you have the information, and you look at the horizon and you see stuff going below the horizon, right? You can't come back to me and say, well, what if it's caused by this or what if it's caused by that? I think that's what you were doing. You were trying to tell me that it had to do with perspective.
Well, yeah, like.
And I
well,
said,
mean,
well, then
not
turn upside
perspective.
down. Just flip yourself upside
Well,
down.
I think at the time I said perspective plus atmospheric and the refraction. or
Right, that's
something.
what I said. You said refraction and the perspective. And I said, if it was perspective at all, then you could literally turn upside down.
Yeah, but you told
and
me
then the
looming
Earth
can't
would
happen. You
curve
said looming
forward.
can't happen on a flat Earth, and I said, yeah, I think looming could happen.
No. If the Earth was flat, right? If it was looming, then everything would look like you're inside of a valley. You
But
would
you
always
said
look like you
looming
would be
cannot
inside of a
happen.
valley. Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said, and think about what I'm saying. If
No,
there
don't
is,
do that. That's bad
if there is
advice, Mr.
looming, if there,
Reality.
Jesus Christ, if there is looming, Mr. Reality, then
Mm-hmm.
the horizon would be higher. The horizon would be higher than your line of sight, and it would look like you're in a valley all the time.
It kind of does to me.
It does not. When you're when you're looking out, everything is line of sight. It is a line of sight for you.
It rises
It does
up,
not look
right?
like no, it doesn't. No,
well,
it does
to
not
me,
go
it
above
does.
your eyesight. No, it
No,
doesn't.
I'm not saying that it goes above. It just looks like it
That's
rises
what
up.
it would look like if there was looming. That's my point. It would look like
Look.
it's above if it was looming.
Yeah, it looks like it's rising up to my.
That's not what I said. And this is what you were doing before. You see, you're taking what's
What am I
being
doing?
told to you, and I said, I'm gonna say it one more clear time. If
Nobody
it was
told me
flat
this. This
and
is
there
just what
was
I think.
looming,
Right.
if it was flat and there was looming, then the horizon would be above your line of sight. Do you understand that?
So
He doesn't even know he's not here talking to us.
Well, he'll come back when he does.
Maybe.
This argument of it looks like it's curving up because of some optical effect. It's not an optical effect. It's just geometry, man.
Hey, Moyak, yeah, help me with that. If you were on a flat plane, right, and you look to the horizon, if there were looming caused by refraction, which I don't see how that's possible beyond a very, very small amount, wouldn't the horizon look like it's above your line of sight?
I would think so.
Okay, just making sure I
makes sense.
didn't have that misunderstood.
Now the 70-mile thing you were saying, I think that's a little bit presumptuous. There are effects that can supposedly that are physically possible on Earth that could make you theoretically see your own ass.
Yeah, but I'm saying
turbidity and stuff.
right, but I'm saying like when you use your P900 or whatever it is, when you try to see the horizon, you're not going to see more than 70 miles.
Not at sea level.
Hey, Moya,
right.
Can you get out of him why he's using that figure? Where does this 1 degree rule come into play? How does I don't see it in relation to why this arbitrary number? You know what I mean?
It is kind of an arbitrary number as far as I'm concerned. Also, when I hear it, it's you're saying that it can't be any more than, but it probably is going to be a whole shitload less than. Right. Right.
I was trying to make a point when we or him were discussing the issue. We were discussing the parameters of the Earth being, was it 10,000 miles across? I'm sorry, not 10,000 miles across. 4,000 miles across and 24,000 miles in diameter. Right. So when I thought about it, I said, well, when you're looking, because we were using that bridge, the Pontchartrain Bridge, and I showed him that curve, and at the edge of the horizon where it's curving, he's thinking it's like curving down. I said, no, that's barely a degree of curvature, and I was
not even close.
I'm trying. I know, but I have to make it clear. Using the number 1 is a very clear way to get the point across. So I was I think I made an analogy with him about when you're on a freeway and you get off on an exit, and when you're getting off on an exit, you need to make a turn. Right, you got to make that turn going around maybe 270 degrees sometimes, right? As you're going around, you may feel like you're going like at a very oblique angle as you're going, but it's not really that intense. It's as you're going around, it's a very shallow, a very not very oblique. I guess that's the best way I can say it. But it feels like it is because you're turning. You're in that process. And so then I made it one more analogy, which is if you look at the curve from one edge of your sight, like you're looking to your left, to your right, you can't really see the curvature of the Earth, right? Even if you were to zoom out.
Pause. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. All right. Did I miss anything important?
Yeah, nothing. We were just re-explaining the discussion we had, so there's no need for me to recite it to you.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, I come on here, I learn a lot, but why the whole reason why I've said something is because I was asking about the debate over there in that arena thing, and I was told that, they start yelling and stuff, and QE doesn't allow people to speak. And I think that it goes, both ways. I think that when you get into flat Earth, I'm not saying that the Earth's not flat. I'm saying when you get into flat Earth, a lot of stuff that you see or you hear, you just you get fed a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's important that when people like me come in here and we start throwing stuff really fast, it might not even be that we understand what you're even saying, but just the point that you might be able to attack it already, kind of starts to destroy a certain mindset. So we'll throw something else at you real quick, even if we don't understand what you said last time. Just the point that you could stand up to it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times you'll have in the 24/7, you can, and I've noticed this, you can say just about anything, because not only is it flat Earth, it has a lot to do with conspiracy theories, and you're not really, nobody really stands up and says, dude, no, what you're saying is wrong because we found out in the document that it was so-and-so. Not a lot of that happens. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of fighting going on except for QE.
Right, they just throw out baseless claims and it's never a challenge.
Yeah,
It's
and
kind of
QE's a little different. QE will yell at his own really bad, except for Nathan Oakley. For some reason, he respects Nathan, and Nathan will pretty much shut him up, and he won't say anything. But that's the only person that I know of that QE won't tear down.
Okay, we got it. So yeah, no, I'm not interested because that's just another extension of their bullshit.
Yeah, but man, I mean, I want to go over there to the arena and hear one of y'all get in there. You know what I mean?
Well,
because it just.
So hang on. So Kosho and I do it. I've done it. Kosho does it more than me, I think. And it, like, I would point out, like, it's just really, really stupid arguments from them that might sound impressive to people who I mean, I don't want you to take this personally, but lack the ability to think critically. So, for example, I pointed out how seismology only works.
Yeah, I don't take it personal.
On a round Earth, I point out how the way we detect seismic waves would only work on a spherical Earth, or at the very least, definitely wouldn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah,
and then Nathan Oakley goes, and then Nathan Oakley goes, well, we've only dug a hole 8 miles deep, so how do you know?
Smartest man in the world. Do you actually assume that flat earthers don't think critically?
Yes.
Generally speaking, yes. I think that if you're a flat earther, then you're not thinking critically.
Okay. Do you think critically? Yeah.
I try to.
You try to, but you do or you don't.
I'm not perfect. Nobody's ever perfect.
Okay. So you're not even perfect yourself.
I think that thinking critically is a skill that one can develop. The ability to you can't work on. I guess you can say that you can try and get smarter, but most people don't lack intelligence. Most people lack most people lack the ability to think critically.
As a critical thinker, you don't critically think that a flat earther could think critically.
That's not what is critical thinking. Broomy. It just shows you don't understand what critical thinking is. It doesn't mean not coming to any conclusion whatsoever.
He also doesn't understand what's been said. He's attacking something that has not been said. He changed it to cannot think critically. And that's not what Snack said.
I thought you said lack the ability.
Yeah, well, I did. Yeah, I did. Well,
I think that people who flat earthers, if they were thinking critically, would not be flat earthers.
Okay, cool, lovely.
They might think critically about other things in their life. They might think critically about other things in their life, but they're not thinking critically about the flat Earth.
You're a critical thinker, and you don't think that a flat earther is thinking critically.
I didn't say they can't. I said they're not.
Okay.
Flat earthers tend to think topically.
Hold on, you need to stop talking over me talking over you because you were talking over me.
That's true, Curve. But he does, like, you ask him a question and he goes on, and then when I go to say something about what he's saying, he then says another thing and another thing and another thing.
Romy,
okay, well, to be clear, again, to clarify my point, It's not that flat earthers can't think critically, it's that they're not thinking critically, specifically about the flat earth.
Lovely. So you don't think flat earthers are thinking critically? Well,
Yes, if they were,
so they can think critically, but you don't think they
they
are.
may be able to. I don't know if they can or can't, but I know that
Okay.
if they were thinking critically about the shape of the
so
earth,
they-
they would
so they-
not come to the conclusion
go.
that the earth is flat.
Blah blah blah. So you know that they think you know that they can think critically, but you're.
I don't know that they can or
No.
can't. I don't know
No,
what their
no.
abilities are.
Quick
Just said-
example. Hey,
just
Brummy.
said they quite can, but you don't
No,
think they are.
Brummy, this is what you're doing. We're saying it's not black, and you're saying, so you're saying it's white, and we're saying no, it could be some other color in between. Oh, so you're saying it's white because it's not black. Stop it, Brummy.
All right then. Let's
And
try
that
it
is
again.
that
Let's
is
try it
not
again.
thinking critically. That's
Let's try it
exactly the
again.
point.
Let's try it again. Do flat earthers have the capacity to think critically?
I don't know. I don't know every flat earther's ability, but I do know
Right.
that
Don't
they.
answer another question. That will do.
But I-
That will do. That will do. Let's keep it nice and concise. So you don't know whether they have the capacity. Here we go. Interruption.
This is what you want, Snack.
This is what you guys are like. So let's
what
hold
you guys
you what
are
you're
like?
saying. Let's hold you what you're saying, right? Continue what you're saying, smartest man.
Okay,
Do
well,
that
you
now.
literally stopped me to tell me to continue what I was saying.
No, because I'm currently forgot because everyone else in the room is jumping all over. it.
Okay, so I don't know if every flat earther has the ability to think critically about anything, but what I do know is that if they've come to the conclusion that the earth is flat, then they have not properly given the consideration and thought critically about the shape of the earth.
Well, I'm sure your original statement was that flat earthers are not thinking critically. It seems
Yes,
like
about the
Say
shape
the
of the
good.
earth. Yes,
Oh,
they
yeah.
are not thinking critically about the shape
God.
of the earth.
Oh God, did I interrupt you? No, I didn't. I didn't. Interrupt
You do it constantly.
I just didn't interrupt you, and you just interrupted me.
I said yes, they are not thinking critically about the shape of the earth. What's the
Let's start
problem with
again.
that?
Let's start again. Yeah, let's start again. Give you a third.
I really
try.
don't want to play this game with you, Brady.
Oh,
I really
okay,
don't.
okay. Flat earthers
The
are
stupid
not thinking
game.
critically. Lovely.
Yes.
Hey, Broomy,
There
can
you
you
go.
give an
Got it.
example of you, a flat earther, thinking critically about any point in this debate?
I'm not a flat earther. Next question.
Okay,
Good
there you go.
question, Platten. Good question. Props to you. Credit where credit's due.
I'd have
Now
to
he
be a
can't
flat
answer
earther.
it.
At the moment, I'm on
Thank you, sir.
80% flat. You
Okay,
guys are
well,
legendary.
80%. From that 80%, can you see? This is thinking critically right here. From that 80%, can you give an example of something on that issue that you're 80% on board with that you have thought critically? Anything.
When I hear an apology, then I might understand that language. It sounds like Chinese.
That's not an example.
Yeah. Was
So-
that an apology? Was that an apology?
Sword. Hello, Sword.
Sorry. Yeah, got it.
Okay. Sorted.
I see what you did there.
Yep.
All right, continue babbling, brother.
No worries, mate. Yeah, I've never heard no apology, so let's move on.
I mean, here's the thing. I've never gotten anything but evasiveness when it comes to
yeah,
the psychology of this.
apology.
Only evasive
Chinese
excuses. So your
All right,
excuse
well-
is you don't have an apology.
Well, I don't have an apology to give to you right now, so I'm Brummy. Can you give examples of what you thought critically about that?
I got him.
Mayak. Sorry, that sounds like a Chinese question.
The Chinese question.
Sounds like a question from a Chinese.
He doesn't like the fact that you took my question that he refuses the answer and you're asking it on pretty much on my behalf. So he's trying to bullshit his way out of it.
All right, then could you refrain from just talking then? Because you don't really want to.
Yeah, sure. I'm done. I'm done.
No, not him, not you. In this case.
No, actually, no. I'm gonna refrain from talking. You brought up my
Deal.
question, and we'll do it.
Deal.
Except for you, Curved. Don't provoke.
So, Brummy.
I was
can you
speaking.
answer that or not?
What are you saying,
If you
bro?
can't answer the question, just say no.
Yes.
Then answer it.
Well, no, I'm not gonna.
Okay, so we're done talking to Brummy.
So
What's
flat
next?
earthers don't seem to show evidence of thinking critically.
Lovely.
It is a true statement.
There you go.
Yeah.
Unless there's another flat earther in here who wishes to dispute that point, please speak now.
Well, no, smartest man on the earth already said that, they're not thinking critically, therefore they're not.
Remember, you're not talking to me.
So I heard Chinese again.
So we have no flat earther who's willing
Chinese.
to accept the challenge.
All right, Rummy, that's not necessary. You're not adding to the conversation. You're just burning air mic time.
So what? You guys let fucking Stone talk. What's he ever add to the conversation?
Not much, but he usually only speaks in blurbs. Rummy
He
does
fucking
There's
interrupts.
Jeremy.
He interrupts
There's
shit
Jeremy.
all the
When-
fucking time when we're trying to have a real conversation, and adds
I
nothing.
sometimes find him annoying, but I'm in no position of power, and I have on occasion asked him to pipe down. He's usually quick, though.
He's fucking worthless. I'm sorry, but
I don't think he adds much to the debate.
Okay, so what's the question?
An example of a flat earther thinking critically on any particular flat earth point.
The need spoon, David, the need spoon feeding.
I got a guy I work with right now. He doesn't believe we're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour through space. What do I tell him, guys? What do I tell him?
Can we respond to Debbie here real quick? Debbie, the question is, can you give an example of a flat earther using critical thinking to arrive at the conclusion of flat earth?
Isn't it? I mean, that's added as well. Isn't it more like some type of empirical evidence?
Very
assessing
good.
it?
Very good, Debbie. Excellent. All right, what's next?
Yeah.
Well, what's the
Guys,
question?
what do I tell this guy at my work? He doesn't believe we're moving 1,000,000 miles an hour through space. He needs help.
I can't get an anemometer and stick it out in space and see what the fuck happens, and then we'll go from there.
If you really want the answer, as I read yesterday, it has to do with essentially the red shift and blue shift as measured, and we associate speeds with red shifts and blue shifts. And
What about all the anomalies? What about all the anomalies with the red shift and blue shift?
What anomalies?
You're
Sure,
unaware
sure.
of them? You're really unaware of the
Why would
anomalies?
anomalies make you want to change your position? An anomaly, by definition, is something that is not the norm. So why would you?
It's anomalous.
Right. Why would you even let that be a deciding factor?
You mean like the black swan?
That the red shift and blue shift has.
I suppose, yeah. If you're gonna black swan astronomy, yeah, sure.
Well, the anomaly could have several answers. Okay, I have a galaxy that's not moving at the right speed for the distance it is away from me. Well, there's one possibility that that galaxy is moving at a different speed.
In other words,
we just have
Moya just thought
incomplete
critically.
information. We have incomplete information from which we need more information before we make a determination about why we're seeing red shift or blue shift when we should
So
be
what,
seeing.
if you need more
blue shift or red shift.
information, why are you asking for an example of a flat earther asking for critical, demonstrating critical
because
thinking?
we're asking
That
about the
way,
shape of the Earth.
you need more information. So why have you made your conclusion on it? You already do that already. You're
we're
supposed to be
talking
the
about
smartest man in
the
the world.
shape of the
Earth.
You're not the smartest man in the
Because
world.
red shift and blue shift works. Do you know what red shift and blue shift is?
Yeah, did you even hear what I said to you?
Okay, so it has to do with the Doppler effect.
Oh God,
Right?
this is-
So
this
we
is
know that
comical.
light compresses
That is
whenever it
comical.
moves towards us, and it elongates whenever it is moving away from us, which would cause red shift when it's moving towards us, blue shift when it's moving away from us. Right? Or is it backwards? Because
Also,
red shift we're moving away from us. Red shift we're moving away from us. So because we know this, right? When we see things red shifting everywhere, and we know that these things are moving away from us, right? So we know that in general, that's how we come to the determination that the galaxy is expanding, or the universe is expanding, I should say. And we also know That we're moving along with everything else. Because everything couldn't just be magically moving away from us unless we were the center of the universe. And we know we're not the center of the universe.
You don't know that.
Smartest
If
man on earth
anybody
is
says we
thinking
are the
critically.
center of the
That's the
universe.
bottom line.
We deduce it's logically. We could be the very center of the universe, I would say.
But we could be the center of the
deduce that
universe.
It's not likely out of all the
It's-
infinite things.
Is incompatible with the evidence we observe.
Yeah, there's this thing about the anomalies that they could be gravitational because gravity itself does cause not redshift per se, but lensing of light, and that is that could turn out to be redshifting or blue shifting something.
So, Mr. Reality, you see how they're all thinking critically? We need to see a
But
flat
you know-
earther do that.
But you know what's not happening? We're not discussing the shape of the Earth anymore. We're into the fucking fringe of knowledge. And you guys like to go to the fringe of knowledge instead of sticking with the things that we can measure and see. Our local network, our local galaxy. These are things that, as we go further and further away from us, the less and less we know for sure. So we can tell very much what's on the surface of the Earth.
Like to go to the fringe of
local
knowledge.
neighborhood.
Like to go to the fringe of knowledge doesn't think critically.
No.
They're throwing out like
Nothing to
random.
do with the shape of the Earth. Has nothing to do with it. It's zero. If
Also-
if we had everything wrong about the dark matter and all this shit, it would not change the shape of the Earth one shred.
Yeah. Also, just throwing out random facts is not does not thinking critically. I don't
If
think
Earth's
we even
not
know
mo-
what critical thinking is.
If Earth's not moving, your whole model goes to shit. You're
Does it
done.
make the Earth
If-
flat? Even if the Earth was standing still, even if you could prove that the Earth was standing still, which you can't. But even if you could, it would not make the Earth flat.
Yeah, our whole model of what exactly, Jeremy?
The whole heliocentric model is in the toilet if we're not
What is
moving.
heliocentrism concerned with?
What?
What is heliocentric model referred to? It's about the planets revolving around the sun, orbiting the sun being the center, basically, of the orbit of the planets. That's what it's about. Heliocentrism is not the globe Earth.
It's not our
You
whole
understand?
the whole model. That's not the model.
You would remove your head from Nathan Oakley's rectum for just a little while, you would be able to see from here.
See, Brummy, that's just an ad-hom. That's an ad-hom right
This,
there.
no, it's not an ad-hom. This is a direct description of the problem. You are using heliocentrism incorrectly because you think it represents the globe.
Of course,
Both
Jeremy.
geocentrism and heliocentrism.
We have a new fallacy, by the way. It's an appeal to Brummy.
Thank you.
Appeal to
So
Brummy.
they are both a globe. Okay, it is.
So we can have a flat. We can have, we can have a flat Earth.
Jeremy, it is the globe model you need to attack, not heliocentrism.
Yeah.
So we can have a flat Earth. The heliocentric model can have a flat Earth in it. That's what you're telling me.
No, you can't have a
Okay.
model
So
of
it's
any.
So it's the globe too. It's not just whatever the planets revolving around the sun. It's
you're
also
not
the shape of Earth.
No, you're not listening.
You're not
The
making
flat
sense,
Earth,
Gerv.
Jeremy, the flat Earth does not fit into either geocentric or heliocentric. And neither one is concerned with the shape of the Earth other than the fact that it's a globe in both. Now, when you want to actually discuss the actual issue, the shape of the Earth, feel free to do so.
So when we're talking about critical thinking, think critically about how seismology would work on the flat Earth. I want you to really give it some thought.
Oh, I've never done that.
Well, if you have done it, what you got?
All right, sorry, I heard Chinese again.
What you got?
To you apologize. Please refrain from.
I will not refrain. I refuse to refrain.
Oh, Chinese. All
right.
What were you saying, Smarts Man? What did you say,
Source
Smarts Man?
traffic noise.
Smarts Man, what
What
was
do
your
I
question?
I was saying that seismology. I would like for you to think critically about how seismology would work on the flat Earth. Try and reason that out. First, you'd have to come to an understanding about what seismology is.
Earthquake, is it? Just Googled it.
Amazing.
That's actually. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to be a jerk. That was actually kind of funny. I was like, it's an earthquake. Googled it.
Yeah,
I heard Chinese.
That's what I'm asking. Are you going to confirm that then?
Well, it's how we measure earthquakes and movements within the Earth's crust.
So you asked him to think critically, and he responded with a topical answer.
Yeah.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So now, knowing what we know about PNS waves and how they could be transmitted.
You keep saying we. You've never studied PNS
the
waves
humanity.
in your life.
I say humanity. So how humanity understands that PNS waves travel through the Earth, and there's such a thing as an earthquake shadow. The earthquake shadow is caused because we have a solid inner core and a liquid outer core. If we did not have a solid inner core and a liquid outer core, there would not be such a thing as an earthquake shadow.
Yeah. Okay. This is new stuff to me that I haven't really got looked into. Yeah, it's great. It's great. So it proves the core of the Earth. Yeah. This is the
at the very least, it shows that it cannot be flat.
Oh.
It might be an some kind of polygon or something like that, but at the very least, it is not flat, and it also has a solid inner core and a liquid outer core.
Field to earthquake with a core.
Does it prove the core, or does it prove both? You're going to say, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does both.
Yeah. So it proves the core and the curvature.
No, it proves that it's not flat.
Abundance of knowledge that he's giving to everyone. And he needs to disseminate it. You have to understand that, Brummy. Just let him go, and everybody can be bored with this topic that will not make one bit of difference to Brummy, because Brummy neither.
You never know. This might be the day.
Nor will he ever look into it.
Well, we were talking about thinking critically. So just think critically about earthquake shadows and how they would exist, what they would look like on the flat Earth.
Earthquake shadows.
You don't know anything about earthquake shadows. You've never thought critically about earthquake shadows.
And think about how earthquake shadows would be represented on the flat Earth.
Is this really what you're talking about? Earthquake shadows. This
Well,
proves
what
that,
would cause an earthquake to be felt from one part of the world to the other? How do you explain that?
Smartest man in the world. So, since you do have an education on earthquake shadows and how it proves the shape of the Earth and the molten metal core, or whatever you want to call it, so explain to me, give me a little crash course on your understanding of it. I'm willing to sit and listen and be tutoring me through earthquake shadows. And how they prove the shape of the Earth and the molten metal core.
And provide a picture, please.
You what?
Yeah.
Can you? I want to see a picture, so I can get the concept of
yeah.
it.
He already put a picture up there.
I mean, I haven't done it.
Your picture.
I haven't done it yet, but I'll do it. Here,
And Brummy is lying. Brummy is not listening. He's punishing the room.
Critical thought here. Critical thought.
Brummy wants to make everybody listen to Snack drone on about this to irritate everyone.
This is not evidence of a globe. This is pre-assuming a globe.
No, it's not, because we are able to measure these seismic waves.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to give us a crash course, and I'm not wasting your time just because Curve said it doesn't mean it's true.
Here's an interactive map of the Sumatran earthquake from I think it's from 2002.
Yeah.
Seismic waves, and you can actually see, because they put up here the seismic readings that these different stations got, and when they got them, and how long it took for them to get there. And you can see that the waves travel through the Earth faster than the waves across the Earth.
Yeah.
So places further away from the earthquake actually detected the earthquake before places closer to the earthquake.
Yeah.
When it comes to closer to the earthquake, in the sense of like over the surface of the earth, I should say. So the reason why this happened was because the waves, like you ever heard the that sound travels faster in water than it does in air?
Yeah. You asking me, you finally trying to keep me on board with your conversation because you literally took off so far that I'm still yet to just clarify. Is it the picture I'm looking at here with the two two circles on there, one saying core, with all the the one you posted at 3:44? Is that what I'm looking at? Is this the picture?
Yeah. And then I'm posting.
Hold on.
I'm posting also an interactive map where you can actually watch an earthquake and how it gets detected by these various
right. Slow down. I'm trying to go on board with you, right? So first of all, I'm looking at this picture. You're talking about it. You're talking about something else.
It's 2004. So click on this S Waves and Earthquake Simulator page. I posted it at 10:44 my time. I don't know what time it is for you.
All I can see is one picture you posted.
Okay, now scroll down.
Yeah, smartest one on the earth. It's got like a quake core, and it says shadow wave, and that was at 3:44 p.m.
Hang on.
That's all you posted. Are you posting in the right room, the debate chat box?
Yes. Hang on, I'm gonna tag you in this thing. I want you to look at. Let's see. Am I talking to Broomy? Who am I talking to?
Talking to Broomy, yeah. Talking to Broomy.
Okay, well I don't know who everybody's voice. I just want to make sure.
Oh, that one. Oh yeah. I missed him.
Okay. Yeah, so you can watch how the seismograms, and this is all matter of record.
Yeah.
The seismograms detected all these different earthquakes at these different times, and then you could go and you can actually see that the seismograms on the other side of the earth were able to detect it before the seismograms that were, if the earth were flat, were a lot closer to where the earthquake happened.
Okay, so
that happened because the waves traveled through the center of the
Bro,
earth.
you are the worst teacher I've ever listened to. You're just talking at me. You're talking.
Do we need a speed up in the discourse yet?
You're also a poor student, bro.
I'm trying to ask to get me along, and he's just talking.
Obviously, it's not going to work. Is what you're saying. You're a bad student.
Okay.
Think you've got a bad teacher. This is very worthwhile.
A wise man always said there was no such thing as a poor student.
Just be patient. Put a firm time.
A wise man said there was no such thing as a poor student. Just a heckler that has got nothing but negative things to add to the conversation. That's all we've got is a heckling.
Okay, let's start from the beginning.
I'm asking you to just give 2 hours to this. Okay, can you do that? Can you
just give 2 hours.
2 hours
or 2 minutes. Broomy. Let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know
for
what a
fuck's
wave is,
sake!
right?
I press play. There's all these fucking sound waves going over, and you can see the reactions how they've all gone through the earth, and it's a cut in half, so it can show you like an internal view of how these waves are basically bouncing off each other, and like it's a bit like a ripple in a pond, basically like a ripple effect, and how they're all reading off each other's ripples, and how you're. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
No. Okay. So you could see how these seismograms are able to detect it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's because when an earthquake happens, the waves, they're the mechanical waves, just like waves in the water, travel through the earth.
Yes, like I just said, you didn't clarify, but carry on.
So just like a wave in the water, it travels through the earth and it gets stopped. So you have what are called P waves and you have S waves. You have compression and then you have transverse waves. So let's see here. Compression waves. Let me find a picture.
But if you do realize it's all presupposed, right?
No, it's not presupposed. Okay, the reason it's not presupposed is because we're actually using instruments to measure these things. And if these things weren't true, then the things that we measure wouldn't come out the way they do.
So the things that you measure it with do not have the R value inside them for a layman's term explanation. The tools that you're using, explain about the tools. Explain the tools to me. What tools?
Okay, so they're just detecting waves. So the P
Oh,
waves.
the wave detectors. The wave detectors.
So-
Let's speak about the wave detectors.
The seismograms. You really want to go into like how seismograms work?
You're just talking at me.
Do you want to go into
Yes,
how
please.
seismograms work and how they can be used
Yes,
to predict
please.
things like
Yes,
tsunamis?
please. Yes, please.
Stop.
Fucking hell. I'm trying to, but you don't listen to people. You literally talk to people.
Seismogram.
Yes, a seismogram. Thank you. That's what they're called.
So, well, that's what the seismograph outputs. So seismometer, seismograph produces a seismogram. So there you go. They're
Right, so
nothing new. They've been
okay.
used for a long time.
All right,
to
calm
detect-
down.
I'm very calm.
Right, so this machine here, then, so that basically, what is it attached to the floor?
No,
Well, what-
it's so it is all right. So you can use fiber optic cables. It depends on which one you're using. So if you go all the way back to the beginning of time, you had Zhang.
Well, why am I asking all the way back? I'll ask you how does it connect to the ground so it reads the ground? That's all I'm asking you. Never asked you at the beginning of the time. I just asked you how does it connect to the ground. It's very simple. Like, so you're teaching me, somebody who knows absolutely nothing about it, right? And when I'm asking questions, you're answering questions that are nowhere near incoherent. And when I ask a question, I have to ask you 5 times to get through to you what I'm asking. You understand how difficult that is for yours to pretend to be smart, one of the smartest people ever, and you can't even follow simple questions. Come on, bro. I don't know what a seismogram is. I don't know what seismogram you're teaching me.
Well, you should have
Run me
been
the pot
here.
or the
You
kettle?
should have been paying attention. This is stuff I learned in 3rd grade.
I'm paying very much attention. It's why I'm bringing your attention back to where you're making mistakes in your teachings. You just assume. Right, all right. So we got. Where is it? Is it plugged into the floor?
It
With
is
a
like
fiber
a
optic
weight
cable.
hanging. So you can read from Wikipedia. A simple seismometer, sensitive to up and down motions of the Earth, is like a weight hanging from a string, both suspended from a frame that moves along with any motion detected. The relative motion between the weight, called the mass, and the frame provides a measurement of the vertical ground motion. A rotating drum is attached to the frame, and a pin is attached to the weight, thus recording any ground motion in the seismogram.
Okay.
So any movement of the ground moves the frame. So yes, it's on the ground.
How deep is it? Or is it just literally lying on the floor?
No, it doesn't go deep. It doesn't.
No, it just lies on the
goes
floor.
down into the earth.
Put something on top of the earth, yeah. You put something on top of the earth, and then that detects all the vibrations.
Because it detects the vibrations in the Earth's crust. Yes.
Okay, so you just basically put something on the floor, right? Like what exactly? How big is this apparatus by the floor? Just a cable that you put in the ground. I need a bit more specifics on that. 'cause I'm
Well,
not
you
quite
can
sure.
go and do this research. The point isn't
asking you a
like
question.
how this. Hang on, Broomy, shut up. The point isn't that this thing you don't like the way this thing works.
That's not what I said to you. I'm asking
Hang on,
you.
Wait.
How does it connect to the floor?
Listen. Regardless of whether or not you understand the exact principles behind this, what matters is that we can find and compare the measurements from this instrument with reality and
How
find that the
does
measurements that this
instrument
instrument
connect to the
makes.
ground? That's all I'm
Hang on,
asking you.
we can find that the
Ask the
measurements that this
lecture.
instrument.
No, I'm
Broomy, I'm not
asking
done
you, it's a
speaking.
monologue.
All
I'm
right.
asking
If you're gonna
you,
talk over me, I'm
what's
done
on
with
the
this.
floor?
I'm done trying to teach you.
What's
Are you
on
gonna
the floor?
listen?
How
Are
does
you
it
gonna
connect
listen?
to the
Since you
ground?
clearly know nothing.
Pull the pin, Snack. Just pull the pin, mate.
How does it connect to the ground? That's all I'm asking you.
I've told you it doesn't connect to the ground. It sits on the ground.
Okay.
Chill out, dude.
Thank you. So, what the actual machine that we're looking at is on the ground. That's
Well,
what.
it depends on which one you're talking about. There are multiple different types of seismographs.
Well, if you're fucking trying to understand, then you'd know,
I'm done
wouldn't
with
you?
you.
You would
I'm
know.
done with you.
You would
Do
know
your
if
own
you
research
asked
then.
me.
Isn't that what you tell everybody
Trying
else
to
to do
tell
your own
you.
research?
I'm trying to tell you, and you're not listening. What connects to the ground? Literally, is it the actual thing that you're looking at, or is it a fiber optic cable, which you first said initially?
There are different types.
Okay, there's different types, right? So, which type is the one that you used? Is it this? this one
I
or
don't
different?
use any. I don't own a seismograph. or
Okay, so
seismic-
you-
I don't have one of those.
You don't use
Thought
them
you had
yourself.
enough.
No.
No.
I just look at the measurements and the predictions they create. So this is how we predict tsunamis.
So you put some on the
People lie
ground.
these days because seismographs work.
No, you put some on the ground, and which I don't know how it connects to the ground. So I'm just curious about the connection of
There's
how.
two different ways of doing it. Yeah, two
Yeah.
basic, simple ways of doing it.
Yeah.
One, you have a passive detector, which is you stick something in the ground that is measuring vibration.
Yeah,
Yeah,
understandable.
and that can then detect earthquakes because
Yeah.
the shock wave will travel through the dense material quicker than the other effects we see, like the tsunami.
Yeah.
You then have active seismography, which is where I'll use something like an explosive and a multiple set of detectors. What that allows me to do then is to
send your own
then-
waves out and then read the waves that you're sending out.
Exactly. So I'm in control of the variable.
Okay, so I'm just an idiot though.
And
but I
around
don't
the
understand
world,
things.
we've got lots of passive sensors,
All right,
and that's how we spot these earthquake
All right,
shadows.
So there's two different
and-
methods.
Yeah.
So there's two different methods in order to detect these waves. One of them is you laying something on the floor to detect the floor, and the other one is obviously setting off your own waves.
Both
to get
of them,
the-
you've got a
like
detector.
like an echo wave from
Yeah.
like a dolphin does
Passive
an echo.
active.
Yeah, like a dolphin echoes, so it it gets reflections back, and it can kind of map out of the ocean. So I understand the two different methods now how it detects this. But does this machine itself now? My question is, does that machine have some sort of how is this mate? Has it got mathematical like equations in it to presuppose the data it's reading is in R values? You know what I mean? Like it's going through circles.
No, it's nothing to do with that. All it is a whole set of different sensors. So it's a bit like saying, let's think that we're on a street, yeah? You're at one end of the street, I'm at the other end of the street. You hear a police car coming towards you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to get that Doppler
Run.
effect. Yeah. You don't run, never run.
Never
'cause then
run.
you're guilty. Remember that.
Yeah.
Never run, then you're guilty. So you don't run, watch and you get that Doppler effect from the car. Now you're hearing that Doppler effect at a different time space than I am at the other end of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now between the two of us, if we recorded all that information, we could tell you the direction the car was going, the volume level of the siren, and the speed that it was going.
Okay.
All of those things from two passive sensing points.
Yeah.
Exactly the same fucking
Okay.
thing.
Okay. So
as what
all
seismography is.
right. So let's say now you've got the data on that sheet, and when you try to work out the points between the two sirens, you have to add obviously. You have to account for something in your formulas, right? And then formulas will in some way have curvature formulas.
They won't.
Well,
there's no curvature formula in the Doppler effect, is there?
No.
The only thing we're doing.
What I'm saying is, so at some point, whether it's the machine that somebody's manufactured that has probably put these the way it detects it and the way it draws on that graph, the way that data comes out. Hold on. It's highly possible. It's entirely possible. This machine itself, the way it's been manufactured, is probably because it's an Earth detector, right? That's obviously a presupposed globe Earth. That people have decided. All right, but let me finish. And then the data that they've got, the person who's obviously deciphering the data, they could also probably, when they go to university and they have to learn how to decipher this data, they've obviously been taught to account for, whatever the fucking Earth's radius is. So they can also put them formulas into that, and then that becomes that could make sense on a flat Earth. So that's how.
No.
That's my answer.
No.
Final answer.
But where so you're completely ignoring the fact that there is such a thing called an earthquake shadow. That earthquake shadow would not make sense on a flat Earth.
Okay, cool.
It conforms specifically to a spherical Earth.
Yep. Okay, I agree. I'm just trying to show you a way that how it can be done.
But saying something could be possible doesn't mean it is actually occurring. And also, it's not possible. An earthquake shadow, the way we observe them, could only exist on a round Earth.
Okay, cool.
I think the problem is that you're kind of right from where you're coming from, but what we have when we're using principles, methods, etc., it's not starting. It's not that one thing is not the entire column of knowledge. We're relying on other things that we've found in the past. Other things that we've found that's right. So yeah, you're right. They will project that onto a globe because we have empirical evidence that the Earth is a globe.
I guarantee,
and when you flatten, but the trouble is when you try and project that same data onto a flat plane, it doesn't work.
You haven't been brought up in a world to believe in it's flat and done all your studies to suggest it. Well, okay, it doesn't matter then.
Because it's not flat.
Okay, it's not flat. It doesn't matter. I don't want to argue. Get it done.
It doesn't matter because the shape it's regardless. It's just the fact that this is a very interesting evidential point that is another co-witness piece of evidence that says that the Earth is not flat. You know, we can
Oh,
use
yeah.
things like Polaris, pictures from space, sunrise,
Mhm,
sunsets, solstices, eclipses. These are all things
It's another, it's another, it's
that
another trick. I know what you're
reinforce the
saying. Yeah,
empirical observation that the Earth is not flat.
I
And
understand.
yes, we include a lot of that in what we go forward with, the same way as we invoke Ohm's law.
Let me ask you a question. If 1 million people were all this, all believed the world to be a cube, and there was, and you all grew up together and you all done all your studies to, well, let's say we let's make it a bit easier. Let's say I taught 10 people their whole life a certain way. Oh, I can't be asked. You know what I'm going to say anyway, don't you?
Yeah, if I was brought up, and
if everyone around the world already thinks
I
it's a
was
globe
brought
anyway,
up and the
you're
world
gonna
was
you're
told
gonna have
to me as
more.
flat.
You're gonna have more chips or added on. That's expected. So it's not a shock to me.
He's getting ready to make a relevant point. Can you let him do it, please?
I think Foolish gets money. That's all that matters.
And I think the problem is when you have stuff that horribly disagrees with it, and that's one of the things science has been pretty fucking upfront about, is when it fucks up. And there's been a whole thing in astronomy at the moment where they know they fucked up a lot of the distances.
But every time you do something wrong,
and they held their hands up and went,
misled
"We're
me,
wrong."
But every time we do something wrong,
misled me.
Every time we do something wrong, you have to retake your test, don't you? You think
Hey,
about it.
Dross, I thought you were going to go after the what if I did believe the Earth was flat. How would that enable the seismic waves to make sense on a flat Earth?
Yeah, I was going to go there, but
well, that's the question Brummy needs to answer right now, because that was his retort, so to speak.
But you have to understand, the flat earthers, they don't need.
Brummy.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
assume full understanding of the flat Earth, full belief. Now make these waves work on a flat Earth. Show how.
There is a lot more questions and answers. I'm sorry we haven't got a model.
Watch 'em dance.
I'm just saying, sorry we haven't got a model.
Brummy, stay in the ring now. Okay, stay in the ring.
I'm nice and comfortable.
You
I'm
can
chilling.
dance, but at least stay in the ring.
I'm in.
No, you're not, Brummy. You're out running. You're out running around through the crowd. Man.
It's
Come on.
flat. It's a flat ring. It's just 4 corners. I'm in here.
Hey, Brummy, no matter how much you giggle, you're not making a sensible response to what's been said.
Imagine if I did.
And you're also smart enough to know
Hold on, let me
the
pose a
fact
question.
that,
Let me pose a question. If I did make some sense, would Curved actually admit it? Is Curved
Yeah.
the sort of person that would actually give credit to somebody that actually makes
Yes.
a point?
And he's
No,
very wrong.
come on. So what?
He's
So a
a
flat
complete
earther?
cunt,
To a flat
everybody.
earther? Curved.
Can I answer? Can I answer? Since it was, yeah, hey, if you could show me how it would work, it would be possible, and make it, I'll just call it legit to you. Then yeah, I'd accept it. Okay, well, this is not good evidence against the flat Earth, not good evidence for the globe work on either. But see, this is the problem. You're unable to do so, and you always will be.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree that the flat Earth will have less answers for you, but you claim to these answers to be true, and there is other ways that these things could be true. They are still. Hold on. I interrupt you, Curve. Come on, be fair now.
This isn't an interruption. This is just I know what you're saying. We all know what you're saying, and you're going to continue to babble the same nonsense that's irrelevant to the
Censoring. You just censored me.
The point is, this is evidence for a globe.
I'm tired of you censoring me, so I'm going to talk all over you now, Curve, because you talk all over me, and it's not fair. I'm going to talk all over you because you're misrepresenting me. You don't want to hear what I answer. You don't want to hear me explain it. But then you ask me questions and then don't let me explain it.
Oh, brother, you're wrong.
Oh, God, Brummy. Yeah.
Brummy, I'd love nothing more than an explanation from you. You're incapable, sir. You're incapable of providing such explanation.
I've already said to you, yes, we don't have that answer.
Right. So quit acting like you can.
I'm going to show you it works. What your little fantasy world, right? Your fantasy stuff.
No.
You want me to digest your fantasy?
The end of it. You can't.
Your fantasy.
That's the end of
Look
that.
at my
There
graph.
is no more posturing.
Look at the drawing. Yeah, you live on a curve.
Brummy, you're acting like a child.
I wonder why.
Because you think like a child.
I treat people how they treat me, Curve. Do you not know that?
Rummy, you are behaving like a child. You're reasoning like a child. You're fucking caught out 100%, hung out to dry here.
Here we go.
And you're just trying to find some way to not appear wrong. It's the same problem with you day out. Now look, just admit you can't make it work on a flat earth. That's good evidence for the globe as far as you're concerned. It's good evidence against flat earth. And quit trying to make excuses. Quit trying to make it, it's because we weren't raised to believe flat earth. That has no bearing on it.
Guess the best thing to do is ask someone a question and then just go over them when they ask a question. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Curved logic. Ask them to explain something that they're proving the globe, and then have a go at them for trying to explain what's happening on the globe. So ask them to explain how this works on the flat earth, and then have a go at them for trying to explain how this works on the flat earth. Oh, I'm so smart.
You've already said you can't.
Oh, I'm so smart.
You've already said
I'm so intelligent. My name is Curved.
Why are you posturing?
So I ask people questions and then ridicule them for them to try and ask the questions that I ask them. That makes so much sense.
Wrong.
That makes
Anybody
so
got the spin
much sense.
queued up?
That makes so
Can we
much
get
sense.
doctors? Let's play Brummy's song, Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Ask me another question, Curves.
There's no point asking you questions, Brummy. You can't pretend.
Ask me another one.
No, talking to you really sucks, Brummy. Just trying to get down to the point that talking to you is worthless.
Thank you.
It's entertaining if people do it right.
Why are you still doing it? Why are you still doing it,
And
Curves?
that's very difficult
Why are
to
you
do
talking
with
to me,
you.
Curves? Why are you talking to me, then, Curves?
Listen
Why
to
are
your
you
song,
Curves,
bro.
why are you
I
talking to
dedicate
me?
this to you. Thank you, Wise.
Can you rationalize
Thank you.
why you're speaking to me, Curves?
Because I'm trying to make my point, which I've already made over and over, and I'm gonna stop.
Oh, that's
You
that.
suck, Brummy. You
Well done.
suck.
Well done, Curves. I'm glad you've come to a conclusion.
Dude, it's not just me.
Are you still going? You still going?
Yeah, to that little point, it's not just me. I want you to understand.
Let me know when you finish your
This
point,
is
Curves.
not a me thing, Brummy.
Let me know when you finish, Curves.
On right now. Everybody here.
Curves didn't think critically about this. Dawn, that was too funny.
Go ahead, Brummy. You're making a really good showing for yourself here.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Really good showing.
Oh,
You are
no,
changing
no.
minds right now, Brummy.
Okay, cool. Is that your intentions, Curve? That's why you talk all over me and misrepresent me then? To change people's minds, right? To sway opinions.
You,
Is that
you
your goal,
can't-
Curve? Is that your intention, girl?
Brummy, that's all you do.
Are you projecting now, Curve, are you?
No.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you come to that conclusion
That's
anyway.
the reality. Can you come up with a dumber thing to talk about than talking to Brummy? Any chance?
So, man, did y'all hear about Chicago today? What's going on? How they're shutting down the a huge what is it with the Ferris wheel and everything's at? It's all being like some of the stuff's never gonna. They don't think it's gonna even open back up because of everything going on in Chicago, all the craziness. They said it took 30 years for them to get over the last riots in the 60s. They say that it's happening all over again. They're having to shut stuff down.
What about seismic waves, boys? We talk about seismic waves. Seismic wave was pretty good, man. You know what I mean?
Bring you back to 9% from me, the seismic waves argument.
Say again, bro.
Did it bring you back down to 79%?
It brought me to fucking 85, man. 85.
Oh, up at 5%. Shit. Never use the seismic waves argument again.
Okay. Now, you know what? There's loads of different sorts of bricks, you know, that make their wall. You know what I mean? Like, there's loads of pieces of the puzzle that makes their wall. But it's that wall that needs breaking down. There's a lot. You know, you probably have to hit it with a bowling ball, and you might have to hit it with a wrecking ball. Wreck their wall with a ball. You know what I mean?
There's a meme about that with Chemo on a wrecking ball. I think I've seen that before.
Chemo on a wrecking ball.
Yeah. Someone's got that.
Can we check on Debbie? I was hearing background noise from her when she would open her mic that indicated that she might be out playing in traffic, and I want to make sure she's not in a dire situation. You okay, Debbie?
Yeah, looks like she's deafened.
Oh dear.
We can all get along. We can all be nice to each other, at least be civil.
All we're saying is give peace a chance.
Just open your heart. It's a shame, really, because I wanted to talk to smartest man in the world a lot more, but he was just like, I was asking him questions, what am I even looking at to start with? And he was just babbling on. And I was like, yo, bro, do you realize that what's going on here? Oh, then we looked at the graph. Oh, it's pretty cool. Then he starts talking about PR ways, this ways, that ways. I mean, I'm not doubting that he knows what he's on about. I don't doubt that for a second. But, like sometimes people's ability to regurgitate and actually teach, it's a different skill, man. You know what I mean? So for someone who's so smart not to be able to even know if the person he's talking to is following along with what they're saying, that's probably the most important part. Not to just fucking get your dick out and show how big it is. You know what I mean? Maybe you should seduce someone a little bit.
Hey, Jeremy, you still here, mate?
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my coworker. I'm trying to convince my coworker that we're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He doesn't believe me.
No, just tell him that we live on a flat earth and everything's a lie.
I did. He's not buying that either.
Ah, so he's a critical thinker.
He doesn't believe in the moon landings, so.
Oh, maybe he's not.
Yeah, he sounds like a Joe Rogan.
Why is this speed important to you, Jeremy? What does it have to do with the shape of the Earth?
What does the speed have to do with it? I don't know. He didn't. We were just talking about it. He didn't believe it. It's not really important to me. It's important to him. I mean, I don't think we're moving at all. So.
Yeah, what difference does it make?
I mean, you're not going to have your model without us moving 1,000,000 miles an hour. Right?
What model? The shape of the Earth model?
The whole heliocentric model, where you have Earth moving.
Heliocentric model, Jeremy. You didn't get it yet. You still haven't gotten this yet.
What don't I get, Kurt? Tell me.
You keep saying heliocentric model.
Yeah.
The heliocentric model, not the shape of the Earth, Jeremy.
So we can have a flat Earth. Hold on. So
repeat after me. The heliocentric model is not the shape of the Earth. Can you do that?
The heliocentric model is not the shape of the Earth, so we can have a flat Earth in the heliocentric model.
But Jeremy,
no, that's not the logical conclusion of that.
That's the conclusion I'm coming to, Curved. You're saying the shape of the Earth doesn't matter.
That's not the logical conclusion.
You're saying the shape of Earth doesn't matter.
Jeremy, think about the model. I mean, the model itself. Would you name a reality after a fantasy? I mean, it might as well be called the Pinocchio model. I mean, is Helios even real? Who is Helios?
I'm not going to get into mythology and shit, but
well, I mean, if the model's a myth, might as well call it Hercules model or Pinocchio.
So if the shape of the Earth. All right.
I'm just saying, I guess the model, is a perfect fit. The name fits the model, right?
Are you really being serious?
It's a myth. But, I mean, it's cool that you can get math to kind of match it. I find that cool.
And what if somebody said the sun-centric model?
What if somebody
said that it's... What if? Because that's all we're doing. It's just a name based on the old name, mythological name for the sun or whatever. It's still the same object. The sun. We're talking about the sun, that thing we see in the sky. If you wanted to call it, Plutonia, it doesn't matter. We're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, people believe
You're the
that
one trying
the
to bring in some
sun
sort of religious
are
aspect
spinning
to
around.
what we
Yeah,
can
the
see,
sun's spinning
measure,
around.
and model.
So people believe that we're going around the sun, right? This object in space.
Not about belief, dude. Not about belief.
Yeah.
And again, our revolution about the sun, the orbit of the Earth, is not a matter of the shape of the Earth.
But I got you there. But didn't NASA just prove, along with China, that by using some type of satellite and background radiation, that everything points to us as being the center?
I don't really care what you say about the center. We're talking about the shape of the Earth right now. This is the basic.
Well,
core
I
problem
mean, if we
people.
got that wrong,
You
what else could
run
we
around
be wrong about?
prancing and proclaiming the Earth is flat, and you want to argue about everything but.
So if we got that wrong, maybe we got the shape of the Earth wrong due to the atmospheric distortion.
If you got the shape of the Earth wrong, maybe you got everything else wrong.
Well, what was it? The Principle movie or something like that? The documentary, The Principle, with all those physicists that got mad and sued them and stuff because
Why'd they do that?
They were showing that they just showed the evidence of what NASA put out and the space agencies, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Wait, you're a Christian." That doesn't change the actual evidence.
Why were all these
provided.
people upset with that?
Is correct. You keep saying, "What about this?" And I heard about, like, you bring these so-called facts to the table, and they're just piles of shit that you put on there.
Well, I mean, this is it's not me. It's these physicists and this data that I guess the satellites
You're
brought
talking
back.
about when you cite them, or any
Yeah,
situation. It's ridiculous to listen to you talk like this.
So, what physicist was the ones talking about it? The one that actually showed.
I don't know. This is your fucking story. Get it together so you can actually make some reference to it.
I'll have to pull it up because maybe these physicists like Michio Kaku and the other guys, they just are a bunch of idiots.
Maybe there's possibly this. Maybe this guy. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know. Sounds like it.
Might be. I don't know. Sounds like it.
That's what I just said.
I know, and I'm repeating it so that everybody understands how
I
ridiculous
know, but
it
I'm
is.
just repeating it because so everybody knows that you sound like a doofus.
I would disengage from this retard at the moment.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Curve did his normal bullshit. Curve just loves to come in and put his 2 pence in when no one's talking to him.
You think he's being reasonable,
No,
Brummy?
no one's talking to you, Curve. You always have to chime in with your negative spins.
being
You
reasonable?
always have to bring your toxicity into it, don't you, bro?
Do you think he's being reasonable, Brummy?
I didn't quite hear the full argument. I just heard.
I'm just pointing out.
I just heard rocket science is going a bit mad, so I just got my attention.
The reality is talking out of his ass as usual.
What's he saying?
I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry that you're staring
He's
at my butthole.
using words, but the total sum of what he's saying is absolutely zero.
Oh, really?
I guess his words.
Brummy is pretty close to what you're doing. Half.
Yeah.
Brummy, you're not outside
I
of
knew
it.
it was coming.
You knew that was coming at you too, right?
Brummy.
What's up, bro?
Of course you knew it was coming. It's the same
did you
shit.
Did you get to see the documentary of? It's called The Principle or something like that, where they were interviewed all the physicists and they were talking about the data that the satellites shown.
No, I've not seen any of that at all. Please,
Okay, I'll try to post a link. They put it in the movie theaters, then it was pulled. They pulled it out because there's a lawsuit where these physicists were trying to sue the producers because they found out that they were a Christian. I guess I didn't know they were a Christian thing, but I guess it is a Christian thing, or maybe a Catholic, or whoever the producers are.
Robert Jennis, a Catholic geocentrist.
Just give me the rundown and send me the link.
Yeah, and I mean, okay.
What about it? So, American producer.
I'll try to find it.
One thing you might find interesting about that Catholic Robertson Jennis is that he is an adamant globe Earth proponent.
Michio Kaku had some great sound bites out of that the Principle thing.
And what does
Great
he think
sound
of
bites.
flat Earth, Jeremy?
Great sound bites for Michio Kaku.
Yeah, and what does he think of flat Earth?
Who gives a fuck what he thinks?
Well, right, you apparently.
No, I
'cause
said
you're
he
the
had some
one
good
propping
sound
him at
bites.
the moment. You're the one propping him up.
He had
So
some
tell me
great
what
sound bites.
Michio Kaku thinks about flat Earth, Jeremy.
I know what he thinks about the science of astrology or cosmology or whatever.
And do you know how to relate that to reality and what the actual problem is he's talking about?
Yeah, he said they're off by a factor of 10 to the 100th power or some shit.
And
he's also said
tell me how it affects the shape of the Earth.
No one in his field uses the fucking scientific method. All kinds of shit.
It doesn't. We're off on another side street. Congratulations. Flat Earth, kings of detour.
This whole thing plays in all the speeds, the motion, the numbers. It all
I
factors in.
I don't care about any of that when it comes to the shape of the Earth.
Rocky
you can
scientist.
argue about science in general and have your little bickering with them over all those peripheral issues. We're talking about the simple shape of the Earth right now, and you can't get anywhere. So you go out into all of these other things that are not so tangible and easily demonstrated, so as well as the globe is.
I just posted a link to the YouTube thing. I think it's just a trailer. I don't know where to find the whole documentary.
Yeah. Rocket scientist. I'm watching it now. Are you there, mate?
I'm here.
Fucking Quantum Eraser fucking said to he said a really nasty message to pass on to you, but I don't think you want to hear it. But I was what's his problem with you? He goes, I see that you like that rocket scientist. He said to me, he goes, tell him it's this, that, and the other, and all that, loads of abuse, which I think it's all tongue in cheek, to be honest, because he's a bit of a character, isn't he?
So apparently, about a month or two, I blew up when Merle was in here. I took a strip out of him. He ran crying to QE or something like that. Apparently, that's what happened. So QE, has a bone to pick with me about some crap or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Then he goes, "You think he's a fucking rad scientist, does he? I'll fucking rip this asshole to shreds and all this."
Fine. Apparently, me, Brian, BD. He has a list of targets over here.
So, rocket scientist, why don't you get over in there in the arena with him? I'd like to hear y'all go at it.
Yeah.
Why would I? One, it's not a debate.
Come on,
Shut up, reality. You asked a question, I'm going to respond to you. One, it's a waste of my time. Two, I don't respect QE. Three, it's not a topic that I would even consider debating because it's not worthy of a debate.
Oh, somebody got scared.
Let me ask you a question.
It's not worth it.
I don't debate one-on-one with QE, even though he keeps asking me to do it. You know why I don't do that?
It's called self-respect.
Respect. I know.
Yeah, because I will not voluntarily walk into an arena where a guy's going to sit there and call me a moron and a cunt for 20 minutes.
Well, I mean, I've had different
experiences.
Hold on. I've had different experiences. I've got in there and I've tried to argue my point and been very evasive and and it's been very difficult. And I've had a very pleasant one where I've actually come to terms with certain things that he's saying. That you need to in a debate, right? It's not about what you think, and it's not about what you think or what you believe, or it's what you can prove and what you can deduct from that. It's not about what you think. You can't be going in there going, "Well, I think." It's not a debate. That's just your opinion.
That's not what I do. I mean, this.
I never said that's what you do, but you've never debated him.
We had a discussion once on evolution. Yeah, this is the only real discussion I've ever had.
What I say is hold your thoughts and come and debate him tonight. Tonight, come in the arena. We'll arrange it and let it have it.
Oh man, that'd be great.
I'm really not interested because I deal with people that speak to other people like human beings.
Well, then just make sure you clarify that.
When they do that, and I have given QE multiple chances to act like a human. I've even said respectfully, I would prefer if we do this without, the insults, the invectives. And he still ignores it, and then turns around and calls me some sort of
pussy.
Not listening.
You're shutting down mentally. Listen. In the arena, it's different. Everyone's muted. It's 1v1, and you can literally
I've been in there, Brummy. I was in there before you were, mate.
Everybody's in there, but nobody's really made any progress because he's such an arsehole. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he refuses.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think anyone can
anyone else's point of view, and he is not skeptical on what he thinks. So the discussion I had with Sleeping Warrior that went on for over 4 days via text, where he was arguing that and this is something that QE holds to, and this is another reason why it's pointless having this discussion with him, because for him, You know, there is natural, supernatural, and artificial. These are categories, and we can only perform science on the natural. Now that is a problem because that is not historically accurate. It's not accurate as how
Lovely
science
story. It's a
works.
lovely story. It's a lovely story for always.
It's not a story.
You're talking
It's
a
not
lot.
a story.
You're talking a lot. Look, let's get to the point. The fact is, if you've actually got, if it's actually what it's proven to be, then it shouldn't be hard to prove it through the scientific method, should it? But you can't do it because you ain't got
What do you
nothing.
mean prove it through the scientific method? We don't even need to use that. We've got empirical observations.
Okay. Well, that's I don't agree
So,
with that.
but
I
he
think-
rejects
hold
those
on.
empirical observations.
No,
I'm
you
sorry,
said-
Brummy, but you're doing 10 words for everyone I speak, so I have to get my points in quickly before you start running away again. Not running away as in running away. I mean running away
You
with the
just said
competition.
you don't need to go for the scientific method. That in itself is just why you can't debate because you lost. The moment you say that, it's over.
Then you don't understand the point that I made.
You're done. You're done.
So if I make an observation, Brummy, if I make an observation,
Yeah.
what science do I need to do on that observation to make it empirical?
You need to test it, don't you?
No, it's an observation. What science do I need to do on an observation to make it empirical?
An experiment.
Listen, I see a flying. I see a flying. Hold on.
Exactly.
I'm telling you now. I see
You
it in the air.
fucking don't understand.
My
And
observation-
that's why it is pointless having a
You
conversation.
asked me a question and I haven't answered it. Let me answer the fucking question.
You did. You said you need to do an experiment.
Listen, I've seen the sun in the air. I see the sun in the air. Yeah, it looks like a burning ball of fire. It looks like it's on fire. Looks like it's on fire. Don't need to do an experiment. It's on fire. You got fire and in a vacuum where there's no oxygen. So explain that one. That's about experiment.
Let's do this properly. So you have an
Don't do it,
empirical
me, bro.
observation. So you have an empirical observation that there is a light in the sky that seems to be giving off heat.
Talk to just like listen. You ain't got no
No,
scientific.
I'm asking you a
evidence.
question.
You've got
That's the
nothing-
empirical observation I have of the sun. It is a light in the sky that seems to project heat.
No, it's actually fucking on fire. I see
No,
fire.
I'm saying just from this is my empirical observation.
My
The
empirical
sun
my
is a
empirical
light in the
observation-
sky that seems to project heat at me.
And my,
That's what I can do.
my
just using my
empirical
fire senses.
observation is it's a burning ball of fire.
Well, how have you come to the burning ball of fire bit?
Because I can see it.
Can you? Can you see
Yeah.
it burn?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
have
I
an
see
empirical observation that
I can see an
I have an
intense
empirical
ball of light
hold on,
unless I
Dross.
use something like a solar filter.
I can just
Dross,
see
I
more
have
with my
an
eyes.
I have an empirical observation that Chemo showed me that sometimes the sun goes below the clouds. So your empirical observations aren't worth jack shit.
Thank you. The end. You've got nothing. You've got nothing, foolish.
But then again,
You've got nothing.
What do you mean? I've got nothing. You've
why
gone.
you
You've
can't
gone
debate it.
beyond.
That's why you
what
can't debate
can
it.
sense. Okay, you just carry on bloviating, mate. You've obviously got this chip on your shoulder at the moment.
It's always
Let me know when you get it brushed off.
I apologize.
Thank you.
It's
Well,
not gonna be
even mechanical empirical observations need to be properly exegeted. By exegete, I mean interpreted properly with everything in its proper
Yes.
place. The thing is, things
that's
look
why
a
you're
certain
moving
way.
beyond
but
the
you need to know
observation, though, Lemon.
What
Yeah,
was
you
that?
have to move beyond observation. That's the whole point of the whole conversation. You ain't got shit. Your observation.
But
doesn't mean
still,
jack
you
shit.
talk about the mechanisms
Flat
that help
Earth
you
one, globe
exegete it
zero.
properly.
The globe
If
is
we
dead,
have
bro.
empirical
The globe is
observations,
dead.
photos that have been taken from space that shows the Earth to be round, that's an empirical observation.
But is that properly exegeted when lenses can curve and distort the image?
Yes,
That
because
seems
those
to be-
lenses have been tested and calibrated against, and you've been shown that multiple times. Move on.
I don't know if I can believe what you're saying with that.
Fine, I don't
I think
care
there are
about your
errors
belief,
in
I
the
care about
lens
the
that you're
facts of
not
the matter.
acknowledging.
Foolish. I understand you're a smart and intelligent person. I'm not undermining you, but you are
No,
just
no,
talking.
no, I'm not saying-
You're talking
I'm not.
ideas. All you're talking is ideas. That's it.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about empirical observation. When we
About your
observe-
ideas, you
when,
are
when I see a
powerless.
fish, when I see a fish